Hey, everybody, it's Rebecca Johnson of Supergirl Radio. We're going to get started here in a little bit, but I just wanted to go ahead and get the live stream started so everybody would know we are going. So if you do have any questions or concerns or comments or snap judgments, put them in the chat and we will try to get to them. But y'all have been really talking up a storm in the live chat here recently. It's been hard, at least for me, to keep up with everybody in the live chat. I might have to put y'all on slow mode because things are getting wild in the live chat. So if we miss you, hopefully we won't miss you. But it has been getting a little talkative there in the live chat, which I love. I love seeing the live chat busy. So if you do have any questions or thoughts, let us know. I do want to remind everybody that we will be, and we'll talk about this as we go into the episode, but we're going to continue to raise money for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation of Alabama. So if you would like to help with that and donate, you can find a link in the video description below. And if you aren't able to donate, that's fine. If you just want to spread the link and encourage people to donate, that's also great and helpful. So thank you to everybody who has already donated so far. Love to get to 300. So if we can get to 300 by the end of this live stream, I will call that a success. Y'all have helped me get past my goal. So thank you to everybody who's already donated. Well, let's see if we can get that to go up. Morgan does like to see the numbers go up. She said that last week. So let's see if we can make that happen during the live stream and provide updates as we go. So please, if you can, consider donating with the link in the video description below. And we will get started here in a little bit. It looks like we're waiting on Morgan, but I also have a guest waiting in the wings wanting to talk about the Alex and Kelly engagement. So we will definitely get to that. So we'll probably hit all the cheerful, peppy, happy things right off the top. So we'll do all of that, and we'll get to all the there's one big news item that came out this week, and I guess I could show you. So we'll talk about this in our news section this week. I haven't read it yet. I just got it. So everybody who listens to Supergirl Radio knows what a bad reader I am. So this is let's make a goal 2021 by the end of it. Maybe this is maybe a 2022 read right here because I'm not going to be able to read that. It's my one book a year that I'm going to read. Might be that one. So we'll have to get to that. So, all right. So it looks like Morgan is here. All right. So are we ready?
Book club.
I keep pushing the wrong buttons. Yeah, maybe we'll maybe do another book club. Maybe we'll have I'll try to reach out to Abby from the Katie McGrath book club. Maybe that's
that'd be fun. It might be a little bit of a lighter read than our last one. What do you think? What do you think, Bunsen?
Oh, what's he up to?
He says, book club for me, please. Bunsen is our more thoughtful, I think. Like he's our bigger reader. He's gonna settle in here, I think, for the recording. Just gonna hang out for a while.
That sounds good. Get comfortable, Bunsen, because we'll be here for a while. All right. Okay. Well, let's get started, and we'll talk about that book club. We'll have to hammer out some of those details and that idea because that actually does sound fun. Do a proper book club if we're gonna do it. We might as well do it right. All right. Yes. Go ahead.
No, I found the document, so I'm good.
Okay, good. All right. I know I sent it a little on the late side, so
no worries.
So yes, so you should see it now. All right. Well, cool. We'll get started, and we'll see you in a bit.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Noyce, and you're listening to Supergirl Radio.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Welcome to Supergirl Radio, your source for all things related to the CW Supergirl TV series and the character of Kara Zor-El. My name is Rebecca Johnson.
I'm Morgan Glennon.
And for this episode of the podcast, we are live and wired to discuss and review the Supergirl Season 6 episode titled I Believe in a Thing Called Love, which is a great song. If you've never heard it, I believe it's by a band called The Darkness, but I'm sure there's lots of songs.
There's some good falsetto in there.
There's a lot of good falsetto. I'm sure there are a lot of songs, though, that are titled I Believe in a Thing Called Love. I should have looked that up, but I bet there are a lot.
There's got to be more than one.
Yes. So I just wanted to specify I was talking about the one by The Darkness. I think is the band it's a great song. Everybody should go listen to it. All right. So but before we get to talking about I Believe in a Thing Called Love, we need to get to
the news.
And I want to make sure I get to the news. Sorry, I had to scroll down into my doc, but Morgan, go ahead.
So the news, Haven's Secret, The Powers, Book 1, written by Melissa Benoist, Jessica Benoist, and Mariko Tamaki, had its book birthday yesterday. Happy book birthday. It's now available for purchase. If you don't want to read it yourself, you can have Melissa Benoist read it to you in audiobook form. So that's exciting. So the official description of the book reads, Ellie McFadden has intuitive gifts. She can sense what other living things are feeling. She can even talk to animals. Too bad she can't connect with her twin sister, Parker. Parker McFadden has kinetic gifts. She can cause shocks to the earth and produce heat energy that explodes from her body like fire, especially when she's angry. The sisters aren't aware of the legacy they inherited from their mother until, on their 13th birthday, two mysterious relatives on the power side whisk them off to an isolated sanctuary called Haven. Ellie immediately adapts to the new routine, but Parker has one impulse: to get back to her normal life of friends and sports fast. Unlocking Haven's secrets is just the beginning of what Ellie and Parker can do if they choose to work together to harness their abilities. But the sinister force that took their mother has other plans. And if the sisters' fragile relationship succumbs to the danger, capital T, capital D, a terrible fate may befall the people they love. Wah, ah, ah. I like when Count Chocula at the end. I think it really brought something.
It really brought it home. Thanks for doing that. Yeah. So I have a copy of the Powers Haven's Secret, and what I appreciate about this, I don't know if this is going to translate on the screen, but the font is actually really big in this book.
I was just about to say, for like a middle grade book, that is a thick book.
Yeah, so I'm actually really excited about the large font. That means I might have a chance to finish this.
I think we're going to slam through this for book club.
It's 294 pages. That seems doable.
So doable.
And I thought it was cute. The I forget what they call this, like the dedication. What is that called at the beginning of books?
Just called the dedication?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. This seems like there's a proper name for that. But it says, for Grandma and Grandpa and her long drives through the mountains, whistling to symphonies, you gave us our love of nature. I thought that was very nice.
Oh, that's so
Very-
sweet.
Very cute. So, putting this on the books of the list of books Rebecca needs to read and actually finish. So maybe I can do it if there's.
I have
large
faith
font.
in you that you can do it. What was the other one that you were reading that's like really like dense?
I have so many
It was
that
like
I'm
it
reading.
was like, oh, what is art or something?
Yeah, the Tolstoy book. Yeah, I haven't finished that. I haven't finished
Yeah,
that
you're like
yet.
I'm not a big reader. I'm currently working my way through Tolstoy. I was like, why? You want to work your way up to that. You want to start at the middle grade books and then work your way up.
Yeah, I haven't finished that Tolstoy book. That's still on the to-do list. But yeah, so we'll do an episode of Supergirl Radio where we read Melissa Benoist's first book. Have you ever heard people refer to book birthdays before? That's what Abrams, the company, I think the publishing company, referred to it as a book birthday.
I think that's something they do in like the publishing, like when their book is born into the world. Have you seen the book cakes? I've started following like a lot of like writers or like publishing people on Twitter because I like to see the pictures of the pretty book covers because I do judge books on their covers like pretty harshly actually. And so, but like they'll get like their book cover on like a cake and it'll be like a fancy cake with like the cover of their book. And I'm just like, yeah. I like the amount of work that goes into that. Like somebody was like, okay, I got to go to the bakery. I'm going to bring my proof and I'm going to be like this, but in cake. This, but edible is what I want. I respect that hustle.
But yeah, so Haven Secret had its book birthday. Do we have a feline visitor?
Oh, hold on 1 second. I'm just gonna need to make sure that everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. They're fighting.
Were they
fighting,
fussing?
but
I heard some commotion.
It sounded like they were dying, and I thought I was gonna have to save them. But it turns out they're just arguing. They're just having a little argument. One of them was like, "I love that Lex is back," and the other one was like, "Not me." And then it got heated. Maybe they're on different sides of like a ship or war that I'm not aware of. Bunsen, you just stay under the table. You're nice and safe there. Okay, you're good.
Well, let us know if there's an emergency. We'll adjust if something else happens.
It's loud.
It did sound like there was some cat cussing going on there.
there was a disagreement, that's for sure.
Well, hopefully everything is okay with the lab cats for now. Okay, well, I just want to remind everybody that for this live stream, we are going to be raising some money for the Breast Cancer Research Foundation of Alabama. So if you would like to give some money, you can do that by clicking on the link in the video description below this live stream or in the audio podcast show notes. All of the funding actually stays in Alabama, but the impact of what we donate is worldwide with research. So thank you in advance to everybody who is able to donate and who has already donated. So thank you very much. And if you aren't able to donate, that's okay too. If you just want to share the link and tell people about it, that is also very helpful. So I'm just going to leave the ticker up because tickers are pretty fun.
I love them.
Just to remind people.
It makes me feel like there's like breaking news that we have. Hold on.
I don't have a piece of paper, but somebody hands you a piece of paper and like, and
you're like, oh my God. I just in. And you're like, I want the ticker to eventually just like start having like the plot along the bottom and just to see if it's any more understandable, like in written form. We're just like, okay, the totems can be destroyed, but then they come back, but then they become people. I don't. What's happening?
Next week, I'm gonna write down everything I know about the totems, and I'm gonna put it in the ticker.
It'll just be going on the ticker.
Just for you, Morgan, I'm gonna write everything I know about these totems.
What
is
if,
not
like,
a lot, but
as the season goes on, as we come to the end, we just get like more visually confusing here at Supergirl Radio. Like, what if that's our goal?
Like an ESPN or a CNN screen where there's
it's just like a bunch of screens everywhere. It's like being in Kat's office, but like on steroids. It's like the experience of watching the show and trying to figure out what's happening.
This chaos is reflective of my viewing experience.
I think so.
So yeah, so we'll maybe have to do another ticker just to maybe utilize this more for comedic effect moving forward. So we'll try to do that. All right. Well, that is going to do it for our news for this week. So here is the official description of I Believe in a Thing Called Love. Quote, when Lex Luthor appears by Nixley's side, Supergirl and team must deal with the emotional fallout of facing their two biggest foes at the same time. Alex makes plans for the perfect proposal to Kelly, but work keeps getting in the way, unquote. So before we start talking about Alex and Kelly getting engaged, which seems like a good way to start our discussion about an episode called I Believe in a Thing Called Love. That seems like a natural fit. Let's bring in our special guest for this live stream. So welcome to the live stream, Irmgard. How are you doing?
Pretty good. How you two doing today?
Doing pretty well. And so we wanted to bring you in because I know you're a big fan of the Alex and Kelly relationship and a big fan of Alex. I think originally, even before Kelly came onto the show. So I know you have lots of thoughts to share about Alex and Kelly's engagement. So what did you think about how that was represented on screen?
I thought they did a great job, really. I mean, I just stayed with the dancing stuff on the episode last night. I didn't even see Lex or Nixley, what they were doing. I was just on the dancing side of things. So I was
you're in a happy place.
Oh yeah, very, very. So they did a few things where they messed up a little bit, maybe.
Oh.
And I'll let you know about one of the things. Like when Alex was telling of when she knew that she was in love with her, she said, we were at Al's and we asked who's your villain, and we both said Hans Gruber. Well, it was only Kelly that said Hans Gruber. Alex actually early in the episode had told to Kara and Nia and Brainy that it was Hans Gruber, so they messed up on that part. Actually.
Fact check, false. So that's good to know. Yeah, I think maybe she was just saying like in her heart. That was her answer.
I guess so, but you know.
Yeah, get it right. And just so everybody knows who's watching the live stream, Irmgard is driving. That's why the camera's shaking a little bit. So
I'm not driving, somebody else.
Well, that's that you're in a vehicle, so that's right. So that's why the camera's shaking a little bit. Well, yeah, so that was I did sort of like that throwback to that moment, though. It was actually something that was in the show and we had seen it previously. And so that was a nice callback to that, because sometimes on the show, things happen off screen. And so it was nice that there was something actually there that we had seen before.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, what were you going to say?
I said, hey, my sister is Supergirl, by the way.
Off screen. You wouldn't want to see that scene.
It's not important. It's not a big deal. So what did you think about Alex's plan to have the proposal at Al's and finding out that the location is booked? What did you think about all that?
Oh, I thought it was real sweet of her. I gotta say this though, as soon as she went in there and he said it's already booked, I had a little inkling that it might have been Kelly. I think a lot of people thought the same thing. That's what I actually, on Twitter, a lot of people were talking about that. As soon as he had said it was booked already, everybody pretty much knew it was Kelly that had booked the place.
I thought they were just going to like the event space. Like they were just like really getting themselves out there as like the place to be, like the place that you want to have your party, Al's Bar.
Yeah, I was like, wow, you can rent it out. That's awesome.
They're like, our advertising has actually worked. Like people are really getting in there now.
we only get attacked a few times. Once a week we get attacked. So,
exactly. I feel like he should have been a little bit more insulted that Alex was like, you're booked. Like, sorry, Kelly planned ahead, but like, also, is it that unbelievable? He should have been like, excuse me, is it that unbelievable that I would be booked?
Al's is a really great place.
This is a great event space.
He should have been a little insulted. But yeah, that was a nice reveal. I did kind of have the same thought that maybe Kelly had been in on it, but it was nice that was what it was, and that Al was not just kind of brushing her off, that Al was kind of in on it. It seemed like a lot of people were in on it. William was in on it. Esme was in on it. Esme was super adorable, really giving it to Al. She's like, don't you believe in love, Al? That was probably my favorite part of the episode. Esme.
I think that girl can melt anybody's heart, really.
She's becoming a bright spot
So
in these
cute.
dark final days for me. So that's been good. So what did you think about just like the the proposal aspect of it? Actually, we kind of knew what Alex's plan was, but how do you think that went down when it actually did happen?
Well, I thought it was kind of funny that Esme was able to keep it secret. She was pretty good, as you said, in keeping the secret. And then when she came in and she got surprised and Kelly was there. Some people were saying they didn't understand why William would talk to Alex and why he would be involved in this. I think some people forget that last season he and Kelly worked on trying to find out what happened to the people that went into the VR world, and they apparently became good friends during that time.
Yeah,
so, I just want to bring that up, because people are like, "Oh my God, why would she talk to William?" Well, he became friends with Kelly last season.
I needed that reminder, honestly, because I missed all those scenes that happened off screen, that like beautiful friendship that blossomed between them.
Well, they did have a few.
Point.
They did have a few scenes together.
They did. They like dug into what was going on with Leviathan and what was the
Obsidian North.
Obsidian North, yeah.
Very specifically Obsidian North.
Yeah, Super Alex episode. That's when they worked together and stuff.
Yeah.
So they became friends. I thought it was just funny that Alex, though, was kind of, like she had said in her proposal, she was trying to make it the perfect proposal, and they started their relationship out, and hey, hi, I'm James's sister, and he's in the hospital, and all this stuff going on. I thought that was some great dialogue on how she talked about how they always had a lot of things going on. When she mentioned about when the crisis thing happened and they were about to die, and that they were together when that happened, I was like, wow, I wouldn't have mind seeing that scene actually during Crisis, right before they went off. But once again,
no time.
No time.
I did like that mention of Crisis, because that did make their connection seem much more, a bigger scale, more grand, more epic. That their love survived the end of the universe.
Speaking of Crisis, I have a nice hand wave for the writers on the Hans Gruber scene. So
okay,
Lindsay in the chat says, I noticed the inconsistency with the movie villain scene, but was the original scene pre or post Crisis? I love that Crisis has been able to be a way for them to hand wave any inconsistency. Oh my God, Crisis changed everything. Now they were in the same room.
Post Crisis, Alex said it too. So
exactly,
we're just gonna go with that.
Right.
Pre and post Crisis.
Yeah, that Crisis thing. They just we got the Crisis and now we're post Crisis, so we can change everything.
Everything's just a little bit different, almost as if we forgot the original, but it was on purpose.
On purpose, definitely on purpose. Yeah. So, what do you think about the Esme thing of it all? Because I guess we'll get into it a little bit with the love totems and all of that. But it seems like Esme now has some sort of I don't know if you would call it a tattoo on the back of her neck. Yeah. So, what do you think about that? Esme somehow becoming the love totem.
Well, if you think about it, Alex pretty much said it in her speech when she first got up. She said, why would it, out of all the pockets in all of the world, end up in my pocket? Which pretty much means that the love totem goes, I guess, to a certain relationship or family that's really thrives on their love and stuff. And if anything, the Space family always, Kara, John Jones, and Alex, their love for each other and stuff has been one of the main staples of the show. And Esme is part of that family now, and now Kelly also. And it's kind of weird that it went on Esme though, because it's like, how come it can go into a living person? I don't quite get that one. And how are they going to get it out of her?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
is it going to go out? Is it staying in her? Is she going to be
hello.
that's
Yeah, I see a little friend. Also
Yeah,
concerned about Esme.
say hi.
Definitely.
Yep, she
Oh,
definitely.
what a
Say hi,
cute dog.
who
Yeah,
is
it's
your
one of my
furry
children.
friend?
Lulu.
Lulu.
Oh my God, Lulu. Yep,
Lulu
that's
is
one of them.
adorable.
Thank you.
Very.
Yeah, I actually got 2 more, but they're sleeping, so we won't see them. They won't bother
Don't
us.
wake them up. Don't wake them up. Well,
Yep.
that's fun. Yeah, that's a good
But
question about Esme though. About because we have found out that the totems can be destroyed and reconstituted. I think was the word that they used. So
yeah, then they
I
come
don't know
back.
what that means for Esme. I hope she
How they
doesn't
gonna
have
get
to
it
be
out of her?
destroyed. I don't know. Or maybe she's the love totem for life now. She's just forever the love totem, I guess.
My question though is, so do you say that word to her and she gives you a task to perform to
Oh,
prove your love?
that's a good
What happens?
question. Do you have
What
to
happens if you
go?
say the name?
Does
That name,
Esme
whatever it
give
is.
you the gauntlet? Is there a gauntlet with the love totem?
Right?
Is it like when somebody wants to do the gauntlet, like Esme comes up and she's like, "Hello, the gauntlet today is like," she's like, "You have failed the gauntlet."
It
Like
would
she just
be
pops up every time that like you have to do the gauntlet.
it
But
would
then
be
I think,
the most adorable way to fail a gauntlet. I would.
It would
right?
be.
Yeah.
But then, like we said, I mean, the totems, it's just left and right with these totems. I mean, first I thought only Kara was supposed to do all the tasks, but now John Jones was able to do the task and stuff. So, I don't know. It's kind of, that's why I said I stuck with the dancing scenes. I enjoyed the little Easter egg they had.
Oh yeah.
I
So do you want to talk about that? I'll pull it up for you
Sure.
here.
Twitter name by a dancing thinker put this up on their Twitter, and apparently it's A and K forever. So my question is, so did Alex and Kelly go over there and put that fake totem in there, and Alex was like, "Hey, let's put our initials on here," or had they gone there before, seeing as they were parked in Lovers Lane and visited that place beforehand? So but that dancing thinker on the Twitter world found that one, and I had to go back and look at it, and I thought that's pretty cool. That's a nice Easter egg they put out there.
That's so cute.
That's a really good
Right?
question. That's a really good question because I think before all of that stuff happened, when Nixley showed up, when they sort of trapped her, Sentinel and Guardian were in their superhero stuff, and I just imagine them wearing their super suits, going over there and carving something in a tree. That's actually kind of a funny
Right?
image to me. So that's a good catch. I didn't notice that on my two watches of the episode. So great catch. Well, Irmgard, before we let you go, do you have any final thoughts? Anything else that you wanted to share before we let you go?
Well, I think I got pretty much done, but I had a little thought if seeing as Halloween is coming up, I can see Alex dressing up as McLean, Kelly dressing up as his wife Molly, and little Esme be Hans Gruber, and them going trick or treating with her. I thought that would be quite cute. But I liked the episode. Was really great. They did a good job. I'm looking forward to the last 3 episodes. We pretty much know what's going to happen. Well, sort of know what's going to happen in the next 3, sort of say. So I'm looking forward to it. And
no spoilers.
I ain't saying nothing. But I think they overall for the 6th season, Alex is my favorite character, and I'm a Sandwich fan too. But that stuff went to the sideways. But I think they really did a great job with the dancing relationship because they let them become friends first. They went through different things with each other, and I think it blossomed to a very beautiful relationship on TV. And I think some more people should give it more kudos for being a healthy queer relationship on TV.
Yeah, it has sort of taken its time over the course of the last, I guess, 3 seasons. It's sort of developed. They've done a decent job of getting that story to come to fruition, and So it has been something that I think it's been at least, I've been starving for payoffs in this season, but I think the Alex and Kelly thing is a payoff that has actually been something of a reward for viewers. Yeah.
I wanted to say one more thing. I'm sorry, I forgot about one thing.
No, go for it.
When they were all, she said yes, and then Carl comes over and they all hug and stuff. And I had to think about it a little bit, and then I thought back to season 1, the final, when before Carl goes up to push Fort Ross into space, she tells Alex over the intercom, "I want you to go out and find your love and be happy and all those things," because I think she always felt kind of guilty that Alex had to take care of her when she came into the family. And I thought, you know what, this right here, getting to witness her sister finding her happiness with a child and with the person she loves, it made me think she finally got her payoff on that. And I was wondering, so now that she got the final happy ending for her sister, does this mean she's going to go out now and find her own happy ending? Is that what we're going to get in the ending of the show or not?
That's a really great question. That's a good throwback to that season 1 finale. Like you mentioned it, I can visually see it with Alex in that room with the circle table. I think it was Alex in that table, in that black room. One of them was in that black room, and they were kind of on
Alex
the intercoms.
was at the DO talking to her on the headset.
Yeah, so yeah, that's a great revisiting to that scene, and so I think that would be a great payoff for Kara's character, that she does get to see her sister happy, and she doesn't feel, as burdened down. I'd like to think that Kara feels a little bit of a relief that she, doesn't have that guilt anymore. So that's a great thought. So thank you for sharing that. Well,
no problem.
We enjoyed bringing you on. Thank you for being with us, and we'll maybe have you on again another time, but hopefully you'll enjoy the rest of the season and the rest of the Alex and Kelly stuff that's coming, because I'm sure there's more to come now that they are engaged. That usually on television means there will be a wedding.
I think we're gonna get a wedding.
so focus on that and then enjoy the rest of the season.
Hey, thank you, and thank you for a great podcast every week. Appreciate you too.
Well, we enjoyed doing it, so thanks for writing in and supporting the Supergirl Radio. So we appreciate it. All right, well, we are going to kick you out, Armgard, and we are going to carry on, because I think we do need to figure out what's happening with the totems on this show. Yes.
Anything else besides the dance and proposal? That's the only thing I was clear on. I was like, okay, Alex and Kelly got engaged. It's so cute. Esme is cute and adorable. That was all I was clear on in this episode. Everything else was kind of a blur. The love totem looked like a decorative soap. When I complain about the show is just given up, it's stuff like this that I mean. It's like they could think of a cool prop for it, but somebody just brought in a bath bomb, so why don't we just use that? Really? That's it? That is the love totem? You're joking me. I thought it was bad early in the episode when they were making the fake love totem. And it was a little locket shaped in a heart. And I was like, that's a bit on the nose, isn't it, Lena? Come on, we can do better than that, girl. And then it turns out that was the best that they could do.
It was the better version, yeah.
It was better than what the love totem actually was. And I was like, you know what, Lena? I'm sorry, girl. I'm sorry. I doubted you. I shouldn't have.
It says, our Ermgard says the totem was made out of quartz stone, according to the prop master. So that's good to know. I guess it wasn't like a bath bomb, but it sort of looked like it.
It definitely looked like what are those things, like the paperweight? It looked like it could have been a paperweight. It was definitely like a tchotchke you'd buy at like a museum store on your way out.
Yeah. So it's interesting to me that we don't watch the show at the same time.
No,
you and I, we watch it in different places at different times, and we both were very confused. And I just thought that was really interesting, because I was hoping that maybe you would understand something that I didn't. But I had the same exact reaction. I was like, the Kelly Alex stuff, totally understood.
Got it.
I'm there. Got it. I'm
Great.
I'm there. But everything else was very confusing, and I didn't understand what was happening. And I kind of on rewatch sort of understand it better. But the totems thing is just mind-boggling. So if you just want to kind of go with me through my notes, and I'll just kind of describe to you what the show tells us about the totems.
Great. I would love that, because like legitimately, as we were watching last night, I kept pausing it to yell at Mike about what was happening and how I didn't understand it. I'd be like, just so I understand, Mike, just so I understand, this is what's happening, right? This is what's happening. That's what you just heard. And he'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, great. I love it. And I would turn the remote back on. I mean, the poor guy is just like, I don't want to watch Supergirl with you anymore. But there were like a couple of times where I was like, hold on, pause. So this, and that, right? But does that make sense given this, and this? And we would just stare at each other, and then we'd be like, we should just put the show back on.
All right, let's just take a real, quick trip through my notes.
Let's do this.
And I don't know if you want to see my notes. I don't know if that will help.
Maybe it will. I'll take anything.
Let's see if I can pull up my Google Doc notes, if that will assist you in any way. So I have highlighted all of the things about the totems that I didn't quite understand. So if you want to go with me on this journey.
Yes.
So
I like it.
So at one point, so Lena's gonna use her magic to mimic the energy of the totems that they already have. I was not aware that you could mimic a totem.
No, I mean, why haven't they been doing that all along? I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, well, given that, now I have extra questions.
Yeah.
Now I have extra questions. Now I'm thinking too hard about this. It was already pretty shaky. That the totems, the established lore of the totems was already pretty shaky. It was already overly complicated and kind of contradictory. But now it's like, well, wait, but now you can like mimic the energy signal of the totem. Okay. Great.
Yeah, even Nixley asked the question, how could Lena imitate a totem and fool my crystal ball? And I was like, yeah, I don't understand that either. That's something
How
I don't
could she?
I don't understand this.
Lena's like, I'm like a real type A person. Like I don't accept B's in my life. So when I decided I was a witch, I decided that I was going to be the best witch anyone's ever seen. I'm gonna pull some witch stuff out that you can't even imagine.
So they do try to mimic the totem. And so then they have a discussion about how they're going to use the totems. There's a big discussion about that. And we're going to get to my big problem in the writing of this season, because this is kind
one
of
or
well, I mean, it's one of the biggest ones. But okay, so let's go down this. So Jean suggests that the Super Friends use the totems as shields. And then there's this whole talk, like this science Momo jumbo. I don't know if Dr. Nicole Green can explain it, but Nia says, try reversing the totem's energy signatures. That should create a baseline to repel the dream totem. And I was like, what?
What?
I don't understand any of that.
What?
I guess that would work.
Do you think that
I don't
when they're
understand
coming up with this expository dialogue, do you think that they just take a bunch of words and then they throw them together in like a way that almost sounds like human English, but is not quite there? And then they're like, you know what? Everybody's gonna be too embarrassed to point out that this doesn't make any sense. Do you think that that's what happens on the show?
So that's a great question, because I've also been thinking, have they been writing this season using Mad Libs?
Or like those word magnets, like the fridge magnets, and just kind of
move the order around. Just switch them around, and
it looks like Lena is getting witch powers.
So then they have more discussion about it, and Jean says, we know the humanity totem doesn't require a test to activate it. Did we know that? I guess we kind of knew that.
I guess Nixley just kind of got all the human, but then also, okay.
But why do the other totems
because
have something and then this one doesn't?
See, again, because this is the thing. This is the problem, right? Is like the plot is made out of quicksand, right? And so like as soon as you open up that hole, I'm down in the sand now. The sand's over my head. I don't know what's happening, because why do all the other totems have gauntlets, but this one's just like, nah, bro, you good. What? It doesn't make, never mind. Okay, go on.
So they go through all this thing. Jean activates the courage totem and goes through this situation with wanting to save his daughters on Mars, which was a pretty impactful scene. But I was also like, but he can't stop it. So I don't know. I guess he just in that moment he needed to fight for them, which I guess was the point.
So
but
what's the idea that like he got, I guess, in that moment in his history, he was scared or got overwhelmed and didn't fight as hard as he could have fought, but they were all gonna die eventually anyway?
Yeah, I guess that was the situation. I guess he always beat himself up because he couldn't save his daughters and his family. So I guess that was part of his situation, which I'm glad that they sort of, gave a little bit of closure to that whole thing. And remembered that Jean, has a very tragic backstory and that his entire civilization was
Yeah,
destroyed.
just
That's kind of a
some
big
tough
deal
stuff.
for
Tough stuff.
him.
And I did like the way that they pulled it back around at the towards the end when he was like, it was, seeing Kara suffer was like seeing his daughter suffer, and the way that Kara and Alex have kind of become his adopted daughters. I like that, but the totem stuff's tough. I just don't know what's happening.
Well, they could have played that a little better, in my opinion, because they could. I mean, if it had been my episode, it's not. No one cares what I think. But if it was my episode and I was drafting the story of it, I would have Kara and Alex be in danger somehow, and Jean have to save the two of them, and he sort of makes it up for his failure to save his daughters on Mars. That seems maybe like a no-brainer to me, but
that seems like storytelling, and I'm not sure what I've been watching recently. I don't know that I would describe it as that. Like, it's not narrative in the way that I understand narratives, but okay.
Yeah, so that's what I would have done, because then you could really play it up. They did that a little bit with the car stuff, but not very effectively. But so they have this whole discussion about, well, let's use the totems as shields because they're too dangerous, they're too unpredictable. We don't know what they're gonna do. So let's use them as a defensive mechanism.
Sure.
Then later on, they say, well, actually, the totems as weapons are much more effective because the shield thing didn't work. And so Supergirl later decides, well, we should use them as weapons. And so they go back and do that. And so they go back and forth about. So in my notes, I'll just read my notes because everybody can see it on the screen. I don't know why the writing continues to do this. A character suggests something, they have a little talk, they suggest something, they put out a plan, then another character will come along and make the case for why that plan is a bad idea, and then they agree not to do it, and then they do it anyway. And this has happened multiple times in multiple episodes, and it happened again this week with the totem situation with the shield versus the weapon thing. And I'm just getting really tired of it because it makes these characters look like they don't know what they're doing. And maybe you could make the case that they really don't with these totems. They don't know what they're doing. But it's driving me bananas.
Oh yeah, because it makes my brain feel hot, like it's overheating and dying. It's like, but I don't understand because they just said it was a bad idea. But now they're doing it. They're doing the thing that's a bad idea. They just had a whole conversation about it. What was that conversation for? Like, it's almost as if the show is like, well, what can we do? We're like in a corner and they have to use this for some reason. And to do this thing. So they're gonna have to do it. And it's like, they don't though. It's fictional. You're writing it. You can write it a different way. You can write it a completely different. It drives me crazy. So I'm glad you brought that up because I was also like, wait, didn't they just decide not to do that? Why are they doing it?
It happened again this week. Leslie in the chat asks, what was that thing Supergirl put on the ground in Portugal? I think it was the prototype of the shield that Brainy created in order to use the totem energy as a weapon. And the shield failed. It kind of worked for like 2 seconds and then it failed. And so that's why Supergirl's like, no, we need to use them as weapons because they didn't work as a shield. So now they're back to we should use the energy as a weapon.
The thing about the totems, I think my big issue with it is that it's so convoluted. that I can't follow it, which is not saying much. I can't follow a lot of things. I'm very tired recently. But like I can't follow it, and we podcast about it every week.
Every week. This is
So-
what we talk about.
So in theory, we're like encoding these episodes into like our long-term memory, right? Like we should be more knowledgeable about it than the average person. Now, I'm not always. That's not true of me always, but like if we can't follow this, I feel like that's a big problem for the show. Like not only do we watch it every week, we then talk about it every week, like extensively, and I'm still struggling to follow what's going on with these totems.
And I make beautiful Google Doc notes that have highlighters.
Yes, you take extensive notes. I pause multiple times to yell at my husband about how it doesn't make sense. Why won't it make sense? I just don't understand. Like, if we can't follow it, like the person who's just kind of idly watching the show, what hope do they have? I feel bad for that person who's just like, I don't know. And then they got the soap, but then they lost the soap, and I guess now the soap's the child.
Do you think that's actually a blissful way to watch the show?
Yes. Like if I was just like, you know what, plot doesn't matter. I'm just here. Drag me along for the ride. I'm in this now. It's just they've made this thing with the totems so convoluted that like it doesn't need to be. It's like they keep adding layers and layers of like. Brainy made this thing that could maybe shield from the totem power, but then it couldn't shield from the totem power. So then they used the totems to try to shield, but then those didn't work as a shield. So then they used the totems as a weapon, but it turns out that the totems can't be destroyed. They can only like, I don't know. It's like energy, you know, it can be neither created nor destroyed. It can only become a little girl. And it doesn't make any sense. It's like, it doesn't have to be like this. You could tell a straightforward story of like, getting the MacGuffins and putting them all together and like becoming a Power Ranger or whatever. It doesn't Captain Planet. It doesn't have to be like, oh, and then we're going to do this thing and then we're going to do this other thing and then this thing. And like, now we're going to throw something into the sun, but don't worry, it's not really gone. What?
Yeah,
Why?
Nicole in the chat makes a good point. The thing that saying the thing that bothers me about the totems is not that there is uncertainty because it is new technology. It is the certainty with which they establish rules and then reestablish them. That is a great way to put that because
yes,
we started out trying to understand like, okay, there's this all stone thing that all the totems, the dream totem, the truth totem, the courage totem, all the Paragon totems, which they still haven't referenced the fact that it's very much like the Paragons in Crisis. I keep waiting
weird.
for them to say something. But we understood like you have to have all of these totems in order to create the All-Stone and control the world. And that seems simple enough. I was on board that, but now things keep changing. Just to quickly run through all these like totem notes I have. Jean says, if you use the humanity totem, Kara, you could lose your humanity. And Kara says, that's a risk I'm willing to take. But I never got the sense that Supergirl was actually losing her humanity. So I didn't understand that at all. Because it never seemed like she was, you know, fighting it, I guess, with all the energy blast. There were a lot of energy blasts in this episode, but I never got the sense that like she was needing to be pulled back from the brink. So that was very strange to me. And then we get all of this stuff, and we'll talk about this Lex and Nixley thing, because this was part of the confusion of the episode. But we find out that in the future, Nixley actually got the All-Stone, but she didn't do it the right way, and she died. I have a lot of questions about that. What was the right way? What was the wrong way? We know that the love totem seems to seek out love and be repelled by hate. Makes sense, I guess.
Sure.
So, and we talked about the totems being used as shields versus weapons. Then Kelly brings up a question that we had discussed on one of our Supergirl Radio episodes. She asks, if the love totem is destroyed, does that mean all the love in the world is diminished? We asked that about the hope totem. Was all the hope gone from the world? If they destroyed the dream totem, would people stop having dreams at night when they sleep? We don't know. And so they have Alex answer it, but it's
like, isn't Alex's answer just like, no, we cool, girl? And
Yeah.
like kind of a wink. It was just like, wait, is it just because like you guys have like a really great stable relationship, therefore we're all good? That's all we needed? Like, should that have not worked for the other totems like hope or courage or
Yeah, and I also
humanity?
what's so special about these totems if they can just be remade all the time?
Well, yeah, and it also the question I thought was a good one because at first when they established these totems, I thought that they were just like powerful thingamabobs that you when you collect all the powerful thingamabobs and you put the Rubik's cube together and you turn it a couple of times and then you're all powerful. And I understood that because I watched Legends of Tomorrow and they get one of those things like once a season. But then it was like, okay, but if you use the powerful thingamabob, it's going to take everything from the whole world. And I was like, well, in the last episode, it was like a 2-block radius, but okay. All right. All right. But then it was like, I threw the hope totem into the sun and everybody's still pretty hopeful and just chilling out and no one's concerned about it. And so I was like, okay, so they don't have any repercussions at all.
There's no stakes.
Yeah. And then it was like, okay, well, the love totem is kind of destroyed, sort of. And so is that going to get rid of all the love in the world? And Alex is like, well, I'm still feeling a lot of love right now, girl. And like, finger guns, finger guns to Kelly, a little wink, a little finger guns. And I was like, well, so there's, okay. So, but then why did you bring up a couple of times that like when you were deciding which one to throw into the sun, why did you like, oh, well, we can't have people lose their humanity if they were like never going to lose their humanity? If like throwing a thing into the sun had no impact on like the greater world, then why not just pick one at random?
Yeah.
Maybe even pick one that doesn't have like a symbolic tie to Supergirl.
To the lead character of the show. Yeah.
Maybe that would have been the better choice, but like it makes you it makes you question things. It's like, well, then why did they spend time like deciding which one to throw into the sun if it didn't matter and there were going to be no repercussions if any of them got thrown into the sun? I'm tired.
Yeah. Same. Laura in the chat says Kara was asking for protection from losing her humanity, so Lena's magic protected her. Yeah, I understand all of that. Like I understand what happened. I just don't understand why you would put that in. To your point, Morgan, why would you have a character say like, I'm really worried about losing my humanity, and then it never seems to be an issue. Like I don't, especially losing your humanity is like the superhero of the show. That seems like it would be a bigger deal.
Yeah, and like I could follow like by using these totems, like the opposite thing happens to you, right? So if you use the humanity totem, you lose your humanity. Like that's the repercussion of using these totems and the power of the totems or something. Like some part of that totem then reflects back to you or out or something. Like that makes sense. But again, to your point, why establish like I'm scared that this thing is going to happen and then like it just doesn't happen in the story? Like it's great that Lena got to cast that spell.
She's doing better.
She's doing it.
She's
improving. She's doing it. She's embracing her witchiness. Lex can't hold her down. Her hair is curly now and she's free. But I mean, if it was like never even Supergirl was just like, oh no, and then like it got stronger and she was fine. Like at no point during that fight did she even momentarily lose her humanity. Like I could see if it was like for a couple of minutes she started like fighting like really, I don't know, like not Supergirl-esque, like brutal or something, and you're like, oh no, she's like starting to lose her humanity. Like this is the repercussion of using these totems, and this is why they're dangerous. And then like Lena comes in with the assist. She's like, I got you, girl. And but that's a
much more exciting scene.
But that didn't happen at all. It was like a lot of, I think my problem with this season is like a lot of people talking about things that could be interesting that never happen.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here's a scenario that could totally happen. And you're like, oh, that could be juicy and dramatic. That could be traumatizing even. And what a great story. Oh, no. Oh, they already fixed it. It never happened. Okay, well it feels weird. Why'd you bring it up?
And at the end of the episode, Kara and Lena are talking at the party, and Kara's like, thanks for bringing me back from the edge. I was really worried about it. I was like, why? There was no problem. You had no issue.
Do you know what it feels like? Have you ever had like a friend or like an acquaintance like come in and be like, oh, I had the worst day, and you're like, oh, that sounds terrible. What happened? I don't want to talk about it. And you're like, really, girl? Because you really explicitly mentioned it. And now you just don't want to talk about it. okay, well, you have all the attention, don't worry. But it's like that. It's like this show keeps like faking you out. It's like, here, I got something I want to talk to you about. And you're like, yes, I can't wait. And they're like, nah, why bring it up?
It's a little infuriating. Claudia says in the chat, the introduction of the concept that totems reconstitute themselves if they are destroyed makes total sense, since love, destiny, dreams are eternal, which I think is it does make sense to me. The problem is that they made this big deal of destroying one of the totems and made me the maddest I've ever been at the show. And I wish that would have meant something. It means absolutely nothing for Supergirl to have done that now. If you're gonna have Supergirl destroy Hope on the Supergirl TV series, at least make it count. At least make it mean something. And
Make
now
it be like a dramatic sacrifice that she's making that like has repercussions in the next episode. In the next episode, they just skipped to Nixley going after the Dream Totem. In which, remember, we were talking like, why is she still going after these if she can't put them all together and get the all stone or whatever? Yeah, the all stone. Then why bother? Like, it just, there were literally no repercussions for her throwing that
Lex
hope into
just
the sun.
shows up and he has it somehow. And that I just I don't know what really to say about it. I guess we could continue on with my notes, because this is the only way I really know how to talk about these totems. So Lex does say the thing about these totems is you can destroy the shell, but the essence flows into something new. So somehow Lex has gotten a control of the totem. And so those are kind of the things that I tried to stay on top of, to really understand what was happening with these totems, because I'm starting to lose. There are no rules, because when they set rules, they break them, and to Nicole's point, they bring new rules in, and it's very difficult to keep up with.
Yeah, it's that's my big problem, is that the writing is like as if something was happening that they couldn't control. Like, oh no, now we got to bring this other totem back. It's like, well, you could have just set clear rules for the totems to begin with. It is a fictional world. Like, these are all choices that you're making. It's not like, well, she threw the hope totem into the sun, but like, I don't know, then it came back. It's like, but then why did she throw it into why did you just make her throw it into the sun? It doesn't make, what are the stakes of this story? What are the consequences of people's actions? There aren't any. Like, the problem with the totem thing is just that the rules aren't clear, and that they're so Byzantine that I can't follow them, and they change from episode to episode. I know that we joked a couple episodes that like, it doesn't even feel like it's the same show from scene to scene anymore. Like, the rules aren't even consistent from scene to scene, and it truly feels that way to me. I'm like, it's not even from episode to episode. It's like within scenes sometimes I'm like, wait, I'm sorry, you just established 2 minutes ago a completely different thing.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to follow, and it doesn't need to be. Like, they could have just straightened this story out and told a straightforward story, and then just like focused on characters and world building, instead of spending so much time on doodad exposition that no one really cares about, and no one's gonna care about. Like, imagine trying to explain to somebody who like hasn't watched in a while, or is just like popping in for an episode, like, what's happening. It's impossible.
I maybe that's a game we should try to play.
Yes.
Is that maybe we should have not like a drunk Sarah episode, but like if either someone else watched some of these episodes and tried to explain it to us, or we tried to explain it to someone who had not seen it.
It's like,
that would be a challenge, I think.
So I have a couple more of those that confused me, and maybe it's just because I didn't understand something. So I'm hoping
let's get into it.
Explain it. So Brainy says that he hasn't talked to his friends in the Legion because they're beefing or whatever, because he doesn't want to learn more.
He doesn't want to screw up the space-time continuum.
He doesn't want to screw up the space-time continuum. And it sounded like he was saying he didn't want to learn what happens in the future. Is that correct?
I checked out
because
after
he's from the future is the thing.
So I also had a major gripe about this issue because I checked out after he mentioned the space-time continuum because I was like, do you all not remember the first half of season 6 where you hopped in the Legion cruiser and you time traveled back to Kara's high school years and you joined the baseball team at the high school? Do you remember that? He's like, we can't interfere with what's going on. We can't. That's gonna screw everything up. And I was like, but you joined the baseball team.
And
You got invited to join the Glee Club. You screwed with time. Why is that okay?
It shouldn't be, I don't think.
They didn't even need to do with that. That was the thing, because they could have just gone seconds before Lex sent Kara into Supergirl into the Phantom Zone.
It was like
but they decided to go back to her high school year.
He was like, I get like the thing about Lex before was that he told me a thing about the future, and so I believed him, and I don't want to get roped into that again. So I can't know about the future, and I whispered at the TV, "You're from the future," like he's from the future.
His entire presence on the show is screwing with the space-time continuum. The fact that he's in the present changes the space-time continuum.
I just don't understand, if I'm being honest, what's happening.
Well, and that was another example of the weird decision-making process of the characters in the show, because at the beginning, Nia's like, hey, Brainy, maybe you should just call your buddies in the Legion of Superheroes. And Brainy's like, I really don't think we should do that. It's going to mess with the space-time continuum, even though I've time traveled quite a bit already on the show.
And I myself am from the future.
I myself am a person who is from the future, and has my mere presence on the show in the present time is screwing with everything. But we really shouldn't do that. And then by the end of the episode, Nia's like, hey, you remember what we talked about? I think you should call your people. And Brainy's like, yeah, okay, I guess. like that was another example of that, where they were like, maybe we should do this, and they were like, no, we should definitely not do this. And by the end of the episode, they were like, you know what, I guess we should do that thing.
Like, I understand where they were trying to go with it. It's like, oh yeah, he's got like a lot of trauma from what happened with him and Lex last season, and like getting duped basically by Lex, and he doesn't want to go down that path again. But the way that they set it up is kind of like there's a pretty reasonable reason why he shouldn't do it, which is the space-time continuum. What does a space-time continuum? Is it just like not a big deal now that he's worked through kind of the issues he had with Lex last season, and now he's like ready to call up his pals? Now the space-time continuum's not a concern?
Nia met with her dead mother. Like, I don't understand why do they have issues with this stuff? Like, she should not have been able to communicate to her dead mother. I know that's not technically time travel, but it feels like maybe that could be part of a time travel discussion. But these characters, they mess with stuff all the time, and then they're like, no, we shouldn't do it. Wait, that really...
Yeah, it's like a couple of
a
episodes ago when I had a meltdown when Kara was like, I can't get involved in human affairs. And I was like, have you been watching the previous 5 seasons of your own television show?
Can't interfere with human history.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I can't get in there. I would love to. I'd love to. But I got a coffee date, so I'm going to go. Lena's going to teach me how to make a spell. So bye-bye. Like, it's more like that. It's like they set up things that they disregard all the time. And it's like, you could just not set that up if that's where you want the story to go. You could just be quiet in the earlier scene. She could have been like, why haven't you called the Legion? And he's like, yeah, I'm still kind of traumatized by that Lex stuff. And she's like, okay. And then at the end of the episode, he's like, you know what? I worked out that Lex stuff. Lex is not that. Lex isn't the boss of me. I'm going to go ride a horse later. He can't stop me. And I'm going to call my friends at the Legion. You'd be like, great. What a great character progression that was.
Yeah, he has a problem, then he experiences something, and then he comes to a conclusion at the end. That would make sense. But that's not what they're doing, though. They're having the problem, then they're making a decision, then they're experiencing something, then they reverse the decision. And it's so aggravating to me. And Leslie brings up a good question related to the time travel. how did Lex get to the future anyway? That's a great question.
I thought that had been established previously, and I had forgotten about it. Had it not?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, because my other question is about Lex. So in the early scene,
let's get into the Lex and Nixley of it all. Let's get into it. What's your question?
So this is a real specific one, and maybe I'm wrong, but in the early scene when he pops back up and he's talking to Otis is like, people haven't even really noticed you're gone. Like, I've been like covering for you on the board, and no one knows that you're gone yet. And he's like, sweet. And then in a later scene with the Super Friends, they're like, well, like, everyone knows that Lex has been gone for a while. Was it just like they were saying that they knew that Lex had been gone for a while, or
was he talking about the Luthor Corp board? Because he says something about, oh, your mother made me the put me on the board.
Yeah, I think so.
It made me wish Lillian was on the show.
I wish that every day. I just had a confusion about like whether or not Lex has been missing for like everybody's known that Lex is missing, or just like the Super Friends know that Lex is missing. Is it like common knowledge that Lex is missing, that he hasn't been in play for a while, or people are just like, he's on vacation?
Maybe he just meant the Luthor Corp board. I don't know.
I had a lot of questions, like just besides the bigger questions of how Lex got to the future in the first place. How long's he been there?
Yeah, I don't think we know how he got
Where in the future did he go to?
I don't think we know any of that, but he does tell Nixley that your own future consciousness, okay, use the dream totem to manifest him in the present time. So I guess that's an explanation. I guess.
I still think we should have had Hope the AI, but okay, I will take that.
So, is the premise behind this story? Let's just
break it down.
Let's just break it down, work through it.
Sure.
So Nixley, at some point in the future, from our present day. So we're in the present. Everybody's looking for the totems, trying to get the totems to get to the Allstone. At some point, Nixley gets the Allstone.
Yeah.
And she gets her revenge.
She gets it the wrong way, though.
She doesn't get it the right way. She dies. Lex, at some point, falls in love with Nixley, and she's the love of his life. And so he goes into the future, or to the past? I don't know. But he goes back to try to fix it so that Nixley doesn't die this time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're getting?
Yes. It's like it's kind of like a Terminator situation.
And so then at some point her future consciousness like said, "Hey Lex, I need your help."
It feels
and
like
that's why
at some point he made did he make a
around?
robot with her consciousness in it, and he was like, I'm gonna give this tiny AI Nixley to past Nixley. And then something.
I guess I can kind
of used to think I was smart, Rebecca.
I'm not smart at all.
But I am coming to that knowledge. I'm looking at my deficiencies in the face because of this television show that I don't think is that complicated, that I cannot follow.
So I guess I can just understand that Lex is trying to, he's come back to this present time somehow to prevent Nixley from dying, and so that they'll have the Allstone together and live there happily ever after. I guess if I don't think about the why of how he's returned and what he's done since then, if I try to just not look at that, I guess I can kind of go with the plot, because he's just now trying to develop a relationship with Nixley so that it can get back to where they were. I guess I'm a little surprised by this episode, because we did know there was an article that came out several weeks ago. Why they spoiled this whole thing is something I don't really understand, because I guess they thought it was a selling point to getting people to watch the show.
Yeah.
which is weird.
What we really want is Lex Luthor to have a love interest. That's
And to
what's
have
gonna
a
get.
happy ending
Mhm.
by the end of the show.
I'm just hoping for the best for those two crazy kids.
But so they talk about this like it's a big thing, and they bring it up and they say, "Oh, Lex and Nixley are going to be a thing." And when I read that, and normally I don't look at spoilers, but by the end of this, last season, I'm like, whatever, I'll just whatever, spoilers, schmoilers. So I look at this article, and when I read it, I initially thought, well, oh, it's probably going to be during the episode with the love totem, and they're going to be like affected by the love totem. That would make sense. It would be like kind of a temporary thing. It would just be like a thing that the totem energy was taking over them. But no, this is like an actual, like, this has nothing to do with the totem energy. This is just Lex thinks that she's a great match for him. And I am still kind of scratching my head at this choice.
I'm glad that they had time to like give Lex like a love interest and like maybe a redemption arc at the end of this show. And Supergirl's been doing great though. Don't worry. Kara's been doing great.
She's been doing things.
So great.
So many things.
So much going on. Don't worry about her.
Supergirl has too much story.
You don't want to worry about her. Don't worry about her. It went a different way than I had expected it to as well. I was like, oh, okay, so it's the future, and then he's back in the past. She doesn't remember him because she hasn't met him yet. They fell in love in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it could be worse, I guess.
I mean, I think it's already worse than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. It is worse than I thought it was going to be. John Cryer can kind of almost sell it.
He's trying to sell it. He's really trying to sell it.
There were some moments where I was like, on a different season, I think I might have liked this. Because like that moment where like she leaves and he kind of whispers to himself like, I love you. Just kind of mumbles, oh, I love you. That was like, okay, I could have loved that. Like, I think now it's like we're 3 episodes from the end of the show, right? And it just feels like that Too Many Cooks thing. If you've ever seen it on like, I think it was on like Comedy Central or something.
Oh, that
it's
little
like,
short-lived
like insane like 12 minute.
Yeah, it's like credits
skit.
of a sitcom. Yeah,
it's like, but it's like that where like they just keep. It's too many things. It's too many cooks, and they just keep throwing things in. It's like, halfway to the finale, and now finally Kelly is Guardian. We're not gonna really get to see her do anything street level or she's just gonna show up in the group scenes in her costume now. That's cool because there's really not time for anything else. And then okay, now close to the finale, Lena, our scientist, she's a witch. Just go with it. She's a witch. Her mom was a witch. Everyone's a witch. Great. It's just like they keep throwing these random things in that they don't have the real estate to really develop in any way because we're close to the final episode of the entire show, and they just keep on throwing in like new random elements. So now it's like, oh, Lex Luthor's in love with Nixley and they were in love in the future, and you're like, yeah, I mean, I guess if we had like a little bit more time to explore that, maybe that could be kind of fun. But right now I think it's just like another element that they're throwing in. It's just like a little extra flavor. And I'm like, I don't feel like it's got too much flavor right now. We could be pulling back the flavor.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because I was thinking that today because I like a good evil power couple. I love,
Me too.
I love like 2 people who are just like evil and causing chaos. I'd be into it. I think the reason that I'm not like cheering this on at this point is because we've had so much Lex. The end of season 4 was all about Lex. The end of season 5 was all about Lex. And now it's happening again. Mm-hmm. And I think if this had just been like, not as heavy with the Lex stuff, I think I could have maybe been into it. Did I tell you about, I know I've told you about, so I'm bringing all my children into this conversation.
Of course. Gotta do it.
But I know I've told you, and I think we may have talked about it on the podcast before, about the wedding where Greenlee is on a motorcycle. She rides it off a cliff in her wedding dress. Well, I don't know if I told you like the continuation of that story.
No, but I must know.
Just really quickly, I'm gonna just give everybody spoilers for all my children from like circa like, I don't know, 2009, something like that. So after Greenlee drives her motorcycle off the cliff, everyone thinks she's dead. Greenlee's died. But Dr. David Harewood takes, I think, her dead body or something. He does something to where like everyone thinks she's dead, but he revives her somehow. I don't know if he does it through like ashes or her DNA, something weird, some soap opera science mumbo jumbo. I don't know.
I love it.
Anyway, so when Greenlee comes back to life, which is like the greatest thing because Greenlee was so fun. And so it was like, yay, Greenlee's alive. Greenlee and Dr. David Harewood became this evil power couple because like he had revived her and brought her back to life. And they were just mean to everybody in Pine Valley. And it was the best. I wish it had lasted forever and ever and ever. So I say all of that to say I could be into like Lex Luthor and Nixley causing chaos and running amok, with these totems. I could be into that, but I'm not feeling it at this point because it's so much of it happened off screen. Like there's a time jump, there's time travel, and then we're just told all of this stuff happened and we never actually got to see it happen. And so I think there's a disconnect for me. I got to see Greenlee drive her motorcycle off the cliff and die. I got to see all of that stuff happen. So I think there's a disconnect for me in that I'm not connected to it. I guess, which is why I use the word disconnect, but I'm not connected to it. So I have a harder time being interested in it.
Yeah, I agree. It just feels like a little bit too little too late if they wanted to do a storyline like that. I also love a good evil power couple. I'm a like big fan if like they're both evil together. They love doing evil. They love each other. It's awesome. Good for them. Good for them. It's so hard to find someone out there. But yeah, it's we've got 3 episodes left, and I don't think that's enough time to like really develop a relationship on this show, make us care about it or get involved, especially if it happened off screen in the future. Like John Cryer is like almost sold me on it a couple of times in this episode. That's how good he is. But like they're really resting on their laurels on like, don't worry if it makes sense. John Cryer will sell it. And they've been doing that to a lot of the actors on this show for many years. But it's tough. It's like they're trying their best, but it's a weird way that they set this one up. I don't really understand why it was necessary this close to the end.
I'm gonna make a pitch, and this is totally not gonna happen on the show. But on soap operas, since I mentioned All My Children, a soap opera trope is that anytime somebody gets married, something big happens. So, Sean D is gonna drive his. It also almost always involves motorcycles. He drives a motorcycle through the stained glass window of the church on Days of Our Lives. Greenlee drives a motorcycle off a cliff in a wedding dress. On The Young and the Restless, there was a great wedding where Nick and Sharon were going to get remarried, and Phyllis showed up. She'd just woken up from a coma, and she came and it was so good. And she like busted the doors down, broke up the wedding. So I say all that to say, if it was me and I was like, I'm going to turn this into just full soap opera, something would happen during Alex and Kelly's wedding. Like something would bust that open, because they did mention Nia mentioned motorcycles.
I was about to say we have like Chekhov's motorcycle because because Nia mentioned getting Alex and Kelly matching motorcycles, to which I had to be like, where are they getting their money from? Honestly, it's on a journalist salary.
Jean's pirate money.
On a journalist salary, you're gonna be lucky if that motorcycle is Fisher Price. Like I don't think that's happening for them. But it would be great if like Alex and Kelly, maybe they come into their wedding on like matching motorcycles, but then suddenly something happens and they both have to like make like Evel Knievel kind of like jumps through like rings of fire or something. We can make it happen. Anything. The totems can do anything we want them to do. So
I think that would be I could be into that.
I like it. I think it's great. It's great.
What this show really needs to do is really take some writing tips from soap operas, is what I think really needs to happen.
I don't think like enough long lost relatives have come into play.
Evil twins.
She's still out there somewhere. And Katie McGraw in a different kind of wig. We already know. We've learned magic. Still making magic. I mean, if there's enough time to make her a witch and to make Lex and Nixley into a power couple, regardless of what, say, the viewers want to watch, then I think there's enough time to slap another wig on Katie McGraw and give us Nasty Luther.
You can get the long lost relative trope and the evil twin trope all in one fell swoop.
Boom, done.
Boom,
Also,
done
also, she's a witch too. Oh, witch off. Which witch is which?
The end of this show has just really improved, I think, since we're just
what
throwing
if?
out ideas.
What if? Okay,
Oh,
and
let's go.
I'm pitching it. I've got like a whole concept, right?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, Nasty Luther comes, but she doesn't introduce herself. She just takes Lena's place.
Ooh, yeah.
And then she's like got the crimped hair, and they're like, yeah, Lena has been doing that with her hair recently. Makes total sense. But she just starts doing like diabolical things, and then like Kara like listens to her heart or something, and is like, that's not the way Lena's heart beats. Because sure. And then she goes and she saves Lena or something. Like all this happens dramatically at the wedding somehow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think it's great. I think Nasty Luther is like trying to sabotage the wedding just because why not?
Can Nasty bust open the doors?
Yes!
Like Phyllis on The Young and the Restless? Seriously, y'all, go to YouTube and look at Phyllis busting up Nick and Sharon.
She just opens the doors.
It's the greatest thing. So yeah, I think you could introduce. I mean, as long as we're like bringing Lex back out of nowhere for no reason,
why not?
Why not introduce Nasty Luther 3 episodes before then? I think you can do this.
I think all bets are off if we're being honest.
Yeah. Let's just lean into the wackiness. But I have a feeling like if it was just me, I would have something crazy happen at the wedding. Not to bust it up, and they would still have the wedding. It would still go through.
Of course.
But I mean,
but some drama
dimensional
beforehand. That's what you need. You need a little drama beforehand.
I mean, usually people play up the cold feet aspect or whatever, but you could have like a 5th dimensional imp show up. I think that does the same.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I also noticed that that while we're talking about Lena, that she I think she was almost adhered to my which Lena is which theory.
Yeah.
Where she had her hair up in a sensible bun while she was doing science. But then most of the time sometimes when she was doing magic, it was down. But then at one point the bun was up and she was doing magic. And I was like, you cannot combine both worlds, Lena. You can't have it all. What are you doing?
See, it goes back to that they set up rules and then they didn't adhere to them. That was part of the hair rule.
So I know that we don't usually talk about shippy stuff here on Supergirl Radio. That's not usually what we do.
No, it's not our bag.
What we do.
I actually try to stay away from it with a passion.
Me too. However, I have to say, I understand like a lot of people see the Lena and Kara thing as romantic. And sometimes and I see it often, but not always. But in this one I was like, yeah, if they're trying to like not make them seem like a thing, they could be trying harder. Because like they have like a whole conversation where Lena's like, don't worry, I'll save your humanity. And Kara's like, okay, I believe in you. And then like she like literally saves her humanity. And then at the end, when they're having like the party, like Lena comes out and Kara's like holding 2 like champagne glasses, and she hands one to Lena and she's like, you saved me today like you always do. And I was like, what's happening on this show? Because I don't think that they're actually planning to go in this direction is the thing. But they really are like, I don't know what they are doing. It's like, okay, if you're not going to go in that direction, you should probably stop making me go like, are they? Like,
yeah, I hate talking about shippy stuff. The only reason I talk about the Kelly Alex stuff is because they are getting married.
They are an established couple, and I don't bring it up that often because
I will agree with you though. That ending scene with the champagne glasses was. I was like, because for a couple of episodes though, I've been like, what are they doing? Because the show seems to refuse to have Kara and Alex in a scene together for some reason, and they're not having them like recap the day in the denouement of the episode. Like
Yes.
they're not having Car and, because that used to be what happened. Car and Alex would like
Mhm.
recap the day together. And now it's for several episodes, it's been Cara and Lena doing that, which is
Yes.
fine, whatever.
It's just fine.
But it's becoming weird to me now
Mhm.
because you could mix that up. Like maybe have one episode where it makes sense that Lena and Cara are in the denouement together.
Yeah.
And then another episode could be Cara and Jean having that conversation, or Cara and Alex. Like that would make more sense to me that they would spread that out. But they have been very dedicated to this Cara Lena thing at the end of episodes. And it is starting to get a little weird to me. And I don't normally try to like, because I like the idea of them just like being best friends. Because to me, like we've talked about this ad nauseum.
Of course.
Like I think that's way more interesting. But it is, they could try harder. Is what?
Yeah, right.
I would agree with you.
Because I truly don't think that's the direction the show is ready or prepared to go in. It just doesn't seem, from like reading stuff from like the creatives, it doesn't feel like, I know they have a lot of fans that they seem to ignore. They're like, oh no, they're just friends. But then they set up these scenes where I'm like, okay, but they seem a little coupley is the thing. It just seems like you're setting them up in a kind of couple. You got it. It's like how they're writing everything, right? It's like one thing they'll be like, we can't do this. Whatever we do, we can't do this. And then somebody will be, or here's the idea. And somebody will be like, no, we can't ever do that. And then the next scene they'll do it, right? And like they're taking that approach to like writing their relationship in whatever form you see it in. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, what am I supposed to be taking out of this? Like, I know what like a lot of Twitter is taking out of this, but like, is that what I'm also supposed to be? I see it, but is that what I'm supposed to be seeing? Is that what you intend for me to see? I just don't know what they're doing.
I mean, I think that's a fair observation. And I don't want the next thing I say to come out as taken out of context for the internet. But if that was the case and they're trying to play that up, it almost makes me, and I guess maybe the jealousy of it would be the thing for me, that at the end of this show, and I'm going to explain my jealousy as I continue on.
Of course.
But if they played into the shippery aspect of it, and then they didn't care about like actual Supergirl mythology, I would be jealous that the shippers would get what they wanted, and I didn't get like Comet the Super Horse, or I didn't get, more things from Supergirl mythology. I didn't get, Kara or Linda
like
as a soap opera actress. I didn't get those things.
I feel like if that's the way they go, though, we all get screwed, right? Because even the people who've really desperately wanted this relationship to happen, like if it's gonna happen, and I don't think it is, it'll happen in like the last 30 seconds of the finale, so they're not gonna get any actual screen time. And then we don't get any of the fun comic book stuff. We never got the News Gal Legion, we never got Snapper Snapping or Director Bones. Like, we all lose here.
Yeah, I guess that plays into a broader question, because we are 3 episodes from the end of the show, and I guess maybe we'll start having more of these questions as we get towards the end. But I've been thinking a lot about this season. Who were they writing this show for? Who are they writing this final season? And I think and I don't mean to harp on the writers. I know this is very difficult. It takes a lot of work to do all of this kind of stuff. But my question when looking at it is just like, sometimes you can tell, like when a show, or I don't want to speak for everybody. I can tell when a show knows their audience, or a show is very aware of the things that their audience cares about or doesn't like. Famously, like on Lost, there was what was that couple that everybody hated, and they got buried alive?
Nikki and Paolo.
Like everybody hated them.
So
and the
funny.
reason they got killed off, spoilers for Lost, the reason that they got killed off on Lost was because the showrunners saw the exact same thing that the audience did and were like, yeah, these people aren't really working out. And so they killed them off. But that was not because of an audience reaction. The showrunners just had that same reaction to the story and the characters that the audience did. So I've had the experience where I've seen like people being very aware of why people watch the show and what they're into. And I can't really determine that with Supergirl. I can't figure out who the show is being geared towards. I don't know who the show is being written for. Is it being written for children? I don't think so, because they have really mature things and topical items that are there. Is it written for the comic book fans? No, definitely not. Is it written for the shippers? Maybe in some regards, but I think they're still kind of
really angry
frustrated.
still.
Yeah. So it's not written for those people. It's not written for people who are like, I just really want to watch a really well-written TV show. It's not written for those
Certainly
people.
not for them.
And so I have a hard time understanding, like, who I'm trying to figure this out. And I haven't been able to get to an answer. And so that's my big question going into the end of the show is who are they trying to write this for?
I think that's a really valid question, because I think a couple of seasons ago, I might have been able to answer that question. I'd be like, oh, they're writing it for, for fans of Supergirl, or, whatever, fans of technology, VR aficionados. But this season, I couldn't tell you who this is for. And I think it's a good question, because I don't know if I have the answer. And that kind of brings me to like my last complaint about this episode, which is it just struck me in this one that how to what extent Supergirl is not the main character of her own show. Like, to such a huge extent. Like, they talk about the Super Friends all the time now. They're like, oh, we're gonna, like, William's like, I'll put a call into the Super Friends. It's like, the show is called Supergirl. Like, she can't fight anyone on her own anymore. Like, everybody it has to be a group effort all the time. All of her friends are superheroes in some variety, except for Lena, who's just like in a corner, like dancing to practical magic or whatever.
And she's like saying things in another language. Some sort of gibberish that's
yeah, she's like, the landslide. Like, you're like, okay, Lena. I don't think that's even Latin, Lena. It's cool. Is that Celtic? I don't know what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. Literally, the last holdout was Lena, and now she's got a superpower. She's got a superpower. So, like, Supergirl can't do anything on her own, and like, usually the problem with Superman or the super family and their stories is that, like, oh, they're so powerful. Like, how do you write challenges for them? Like, that's usually the problem. And in this show, it's like, she's not powerful enough. She needs 12 of her friends to take down one enemy. And you're like, why? Why does she need that? She is Supergirl.
And I just want to remind everybody, the enemy that she's got to take down can be sent back to the fifth dimension by getting her to say her name backwards. I just want to keep reminding everybody of this.
The two enemies are, as you said, somebody who you just need to get her to say her name backwards, and a bald dude in a suit. Like, those are her two enemies. A regular guy that she needs some regular guy. That's what she needs, all of her friends to help her fight.
I think I know what they're going for. Because I think they've mentioned in interviews that they want it to be like stronger together and all that kind of stuff, which would be a nice throwback to like the second episode of the entire show where they introduced the El Mayara concept. I think that's great. But to your point, the show is about it was originally about Supergirl. It was about Supergirl and Supergirl saving the day. And the only way in this week's episode, I thought that they did a good job of that is when Kelly and Alex, even though Kelly's got her guardian shield and Alex, I think, has a weapon of some kind, even though they had protection in Al's bar, they needed Supergirl. And Esme was the only one who recognized. They must have had a conversation with her like, Esme, if you get in trouble, if there's, stranger danger, you need to yell out for Supergirl. And that was like that might have been one of my favorite parts of this whole season, because this
So
little
cute.
girl knew that when she was in danger, she could call for Supergirl and Supergirl would be there for her. And I'm just, like, I'm almost getting emotional about that, because like the idea of that is something that I've wanted to see for a long time, for Supergirl to have an impact on like a little one, like a little person,
I know.
like a little young person. And that I thought was really well played, because Supergirl was there immediately. And Esme knew to do that. And she knew that she could count on Supergirl. And I just wish there was more of that. Shippy nonsense aside, all of that kind of stuff, the Carolina stuff, the
Who will
Alex
she end
Kelly
up
wedding.
with? Yeah, exactly.
That
Okay.
to me has never been a thing that I focus on with this show. I care about the character of Supergirl. And so when I struggle with not seeing her, uh in my opinion, be respected, that's very troubling for me. And so I think the one thing that was really positive for me this week was Esme calling out for Supergirl. And I just wish we got more moments like that.
I agree, and I love that moment too. And I think in the earlier seasons, the Super Friends, as you may call it, like as they're called now, but they were like her backups. They helped her. They like helped her find where the enemy was. They helped her figure out how to take them down. They helped, they would like be like calming in while she was like fighting them. They would do that, and they would assist too. But now it's like she cannot fight a single enemy on her own. She always needs the Super Friends around. And even this whole season with like Andrea being like, I need the story about the Super Friends. It's not like I need the story about Supergirl. Supergirl is being erased from her own television show. She is just part of a group of Super Friends now. And it just kind of bums me out, because it's like this used to be her show. It used to be about her journey, and like the other characters were always great. Like we always got a lot of good Alex stories and good John stories, and John's a superhero. And we got good stories for the supporting cast, but at the end of the day, it was about Supergirl and her journey and what she was going through and her saving the day. And now I cannot imagine a scenario this season in which Supergirl like solo saves the day. It just doesn't seem possible anymore the way the writing is.
That's such a good point, because even when they would have Alex or Jean helping Kara, Supergirl was the one to face the villain. Supergirl was the one to face off with whoever was causing trouble that episode. Oh, that's such a good point. Oh, that I miss those days.
I know, and it really struck me in this one, I think, between like Andrea being like, what's the plan with the Super Friends? And then all of them having to help her like fight, and like she just doesn't have solo fight scenes anymore, it feels like. And I just thought, oh man, like I know that we complain about like the show isn't about Supergirl anymore, but it's like it just really hit me in this one. It's like it's really not about just Supergirl anymore. She's not the title character of her own show called Supergirl. She's just one of the many characters in this
Yeah.
show.
Yeah. I understand what they're trying to do. I understand the El Mayara thing of it. But I don't think it has to be every episode.
No, it doesn't.
I
And
don't
like
think it has to be every episode.
I feel like there's also like interesting ways that you could have played that out. Like she could have come back from the Phantom Zone, and she could have like had a hard time like reconnecting with her friends. And that could have been like a storyline that like came through, and then she could like they could have like surrounded her and helped her out, and then she could have realized, oh, I'm stronger with them. Like that would have given her a little bit of
given her an arc. Yeah.
an arc. It would have given her a little alone time to like try to do things by herself, and then
Maybe
that
that's where she could have like had the decision to quit Catco and all that kind of thing, that she wasn't reacclimating to her life.
yes,
like
and
she
that was
should've.
also another thing that like I was annoyed with at the beginning of this episode is she just announces to everybody like, I quit Catco. I think only Lena is like, what do you mean, you're a journalist? And she was like, not anymore, sucker. And like I feel like Alex didn't even really have
Alex wasn't there during that.
that's right. She
conversation.
wasn't there for that. So, like, we don't even know what Alex's reaction to that is. Will it even get brought up next episode? Or are we just like not caring about Kara being a journalist ever again? I don't know with this show. I really don't. But it seemed annoying that we wouldn't get a Kara and Alex scene about that. We got just one person's reaction. It was Lena's. being like, you're a journalist. I don't know that Nia even said anything.
I think Nia said
Presumably,
something, but
did
Lena
she?
was the one who was like, but journalism is like the thing that is a big deal to you. Like that.
Which is like, yes, Lena, exactly. That was our reaction as well. But it's like weird that like she didn't have a conversation with Alex. She didn't have a conversation with Nia, who presumably still works there, although who knows. It's just, I don't know. It's just like, they seem very uninterested in what's going on with Kara. It's just kind of a bummer.
Well, and the thing that I thought was a strange choice was during that scene where she tells everybody that she quit Catco, she's dressed as Supergirl. She's not even dressed as Kara Danvers in that scene, which I thought was a weird choice. If you're going to have her make that proclamation to everybody in the room, she needs to be Kara in that moment.
Yes.
So I thought that was really strange. And they did try to bring out some, I guess this will be the last thing we talked about because I know because I know we're running a little long because there's just so much to work out with this episode. And what was I? Oh, so I was going to talk about the Kara stuff. So they did try to bring some of that Phantom Zone stuff back for her in this episode, that she has this, like, I guess some sort of traumatic event where she thinks that she is going to, she's attacked by the Dream Totem using a nightmare, and she thinks she's going to become a phantom. I don't know. That feels a little too late for me. Like I don't know. They didn't really string all that together very well, in my opinion, and so I kind of don't care about it, which is sad. I should care about Kara having that feeling like she's about to become a monster. I should care about that, and I think in my opinion, it's been done so poorly.
Yeah, I'm glad that they brought it back, but as you mentioned, it's a little bit too late. It's kind of how the storytelling is sometimes on this show, where it's very sporadic. Like they'll remember the thing that they want to talk about, and then they'll forget it for 4 episodes, and then they'll bring it back. It's not like a through line, and so when they bring it back, you're like, oh yeah, right, that, okay. Instead of being like, oh, it's so interesting to see them like dive into her time in the Phantom Zone. Like I still feel like she barely had any reaction to her parents being alive. It's like, I mean, I guess I get that we're talking about her trauma with the Phantoms, but like really would have rather seen some more stuff with her dad.
Well, and we've gotten more, I think, in some regards, more fallout from the Phantom Zone with Nixley, because in this week's episode, when Lex approaches her and Nixley finds out that Lex was the one who sent Supergirl to the Phantom Zone, she had a real reaction to that. She was like, I hate men, and I hate men who send women to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So that was a real organic reaction to that I think happened from Nixley. So I think it would have benefited the show in the season a little more if they had played more into that and delved a little more into the Phantom Zone fallout of that.
Yeah, they did a little bit, but not to such an extent where when it popped up in this episode, I was like, oh, right. She's probably got some trauma around the Phantom Zone. So yeah, I mean, it was nice that they tried to do something with that, but it didn't feel like it was like well developed, unfortunately. Just kind of thrown in there.
I wish we had gotten more of it, to be honest. Leslie in the chat asks, how did Jean know that Supergirl was having a nightmare about phantoms? I think it's because he did some of this. He did some fingers to his temples, and he thought really hard about it. I think that's how that's my best guess. Claudia also says in the chat, Kara is only a reporter because Lena suggested it in season 2, episode 1. I would disagree with that, Claudia, because at the end of season 1, in the finale, I think it was, Kat Grant recognized that Kara, I think she pulls out Kara's resume or something, and she wrote reporter on it in red ink, I think, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah, that's what I remember too.
So I would push back on that a little bit, that I think Kara has always shown the spark of a reporter since early on in the show. And I don't think it was necessarily just because of Lena.
Wasn't Kara already a reporter, like when she like met Lena for the first time?
I
have to refresh, I think.
Yeah, because she was with Clark when they first.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Lena. Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to address that. Well, I guess we've run pretty long on our discussion this week, so I guess we should start wrapping it up. So Morgan, what were your thoughts about this episode? Like overall thoughts? Like it, dislike it? What'd you think?
I wish I liked it more. I could see some ways that it could have been interesting, but I just don't feel like it quite got there. I liked the Kelly and Alex proposal a lot. I liked that like Lena is coming into her powers and she like saved Cars humanity or whatever, but I didn't like that they set up this whole dramatic storyline about like how maybe Car would lose her humanity and then she just didn't. That's not that exciting to watch as a viewer. And I just the totem stuff is inexplicable. I just can't follow it. I don't know what's going on. They keep changing the rules. It's driving me nuts. If it's going to be this poorly thought out, then I wish it was less taking up less screen time and was less part of the story. The Alexa Nixley stuff, I feel like I wish I liked it because I could see a version of it that could have been interesting. And as much as I love Ducky Lex Luthor, he almost sold me on that relationship a couple of times in the episode, but it's too close to the finale for me to really get involved or care, to be honest. Like, it sounds harsh, but I'm like, we're there's 3 episodes left. I can't get invested in this. It doesn't matter. Like, let's focus on the characters we do have. So I feel like this one was just kind of bogged down in all the totem nonsense. There were some good moments in it, and honestly, the Kelly Alex proposal stuff saved this one for me. It was cute, but the rest of it was just crazy.
Yeah, this one was a really hard episode to follow in terms of the plot, and I think that made me frustrated at the show, and so it was hard for me to come back to that. When I started making notes the second time around, it didn't make more sense, but I at least like saw what they were trying to do. It was I didn't care for this one, and the way it was changing all of the rules. There were some bright spots in it, but as an episode overall, I don't did not care for it. People in the chat just to
I was about to say, people have some corrections about season 2, episode 1. Thank God.
So apparently, Lena Carr was not a reporter when they met Lena for the first time. But I just push back at the notion that Lena is the reason that Carr became a reporter. I don't like that at all, because the season 1 finale had her destiny as a reporter. Like, that's why, like, Kat saw that in her, that she was gonna be that. So I don't know. I'll go back and rewatch that beginning of season 2, because obviously I've forgotten about it, but I just I don't like that idea that like Kara can't make the decision to be a reporter on her own, that she can't have that instinct in her, that Lena has to be the one to have inspired her to do that.
She was clearly on the road to becoming a reporter when she first met Lena, and Lena was like, "You seem like a reporter." I don't think it was like she was like, "Oh, I seem like a reporter." Like, I don't think that that's when it first like occurred to her. She was on that road. Kat kind of had already thought that that's where she was going to go, and that's kind of already what she was thinking. So
I guess I'm just like, I know we're 3 episodes from the end, but I guess I'm just so bitter that like now we can't even look back at the show and be like, well, Kara was always going to be a reporter. That was a thing. And now it's like, well, she's only a reporter because Lena said she was a reporter. And it just kind of goes into the premise of like the Supergirl can't do anything on her own. She has to have people to tell her what to do. And now I'm like, ugh, I'm trying to be real positive about the end of the show, but it's becoming increasingly difficult the more episodes that air. And so I'm trying to stay with it, but and trying to bring up the positive things when I can, but it's becoming very difficult. Okay, well, I guess on that downer of a note, I'm very sorry to leave it on that downer of a note, but let's see what our listeners had to say. Maybe they'll disagree with everything I just said.
So our first tweet is from Josue A. Rios, 1994, who said, "Zoned out in the first half of the episode. Second half was okay. It confirmed a theory and destroyed it at the same time. Kara destroys the Hope Totem, but that's okay because she'll be the totem. But no, Lex has it. Then they'll make Esme a totem. It's obvious that William will die, with him advising a new character in every episode." Um, at CM Gutierrez 74 said, loved it. I completely believe Lex is in love with future Nixley and would move heaven and earth to save her. The dancing scenes totally made me cry with happiness. Watching the Super Friends fight together against formidable foes was everything. Can't wait for next week.
God, I wish I felt like that about this
Me
show.
too.
I wish I had. I'm jealous. I'm jealous of that enthusiasm.
I want to be there. I want to be where she is because that seems great. At Yoda 76547 said, "What a beautiful dancing episode. Kara got to realize her sister's happiness just like she told her to get in the first season finale. So does this mean Kara is done being a hero?"
Oh, and these are Irmgard's thoughts. So
Oh.
Irmgard mentioned it before, but we'll continue to read the tweet.
Yeah, she did become a hero because of Alex, and now that Alex has her dreams realized, can Kara go off and find her own happiness? Danson is the best queer representation on TV right now. We did not need Lex. Told you all the hope totem wasn't lost. Esme becoming the totem is interesting. At SL Fricky, hope. Head scratchingly, obfuscatingly, please explain. Head scratchingly, obfuscating, please explain. Why does the love totem look like brains? Was Lex playing The Red Capes Are Coming on the piano?
No, he was not.
They should have revealed that Esme's species isn't affected by alcohol and had her double fisting champagne at the party.
She would have turned that party up.
That would have been a twist. At Anthony Nia said, for 17 weeks, I've kept the faith that somehow we would see a return to form for this show in the final season. But alas, it's now time to face the truth. This show I loved has been slowly dying since that day in infamy when Rovner and Queller took over as showrunners. It's time for this to end. At Quinn Schuler said, took me this long to realize the totems are rip-off Infinity Stones.
Yeah, I don't know much. I'm not a Marvel person, so
yeah.
I know the Infinity Stones went into the Infinity Gauntlet, but I don't know anything. I don't know anything else other than that. Is there is there more a connection to the totems?
I mean, they all had like names, and some of them had like tests that you had to at least one of them had like a test you had to kind of pass to get the stone. So kind of yes, they are rip-off Infinity Stones. Someone went to see Endgame and was like, what if we did that? Not like there's like a rich DC history that they could pull from, but they like saw a movie and they were like, this could be cool.
Not that there's like Supergirl comics since 1959.
No, that's not
enough. Over 60 years of
not
Supergirl
enough
stories.
So at Thus Spoke Bianca, really annoyed with all the Lex stuff. Nixley doesn't need him and the show doesn't need him either. Loved all the dancing moments. Their love is literally the purest in the universe. At Mark HB PWM said, honestly, I liked it. I've accepted that the totem rules are Calvin Ball.
What's Calvin Ball?
I don't know. I thought that was like something that like I just didn't know. I was like, Calvin Ball.
Oh, it's related to Calvin and Hobbes. Calvin Ball is a game invented by Calvin and Hobbes. Calvin Ball has no rules. The players make up their own rules as they go along, so that no Calvin Ball game is like another. Rules cannot be used twice, except for the rules that rules cannot be used twice. And any plays made in one game may not be made again in any future games. The game may involve wickets, mallets, volleyballs, and additional sports-related equipment. There is only one permanent rule in Calvin Ball. Players cannot play in the same way twice. For example, in one game of Calvin Ball, the goal was to capture the opponent's flag, whereas in a different game of Calvin Ball, the goal is to score points by hitting badminton shuttlecocks against trees using a croquet mallet. I love this.
Amazing.
Calvin Ball.
If
that's exactly what the season is.
Accurately describe this season. I don't know what does. I'm using that from now on. This
Calvin
whole
Ball.
thing is Calvin Ball.
Okay,
so I've accepted that the totem rules are Calvin Ball, and the whole storyline was written by a delirious Dr. Seuss. So what the heck? I knew Kelly had booked Al's bar before they were out of that first scene, but it was still an awesome proposal, even if there were no koi fish, like in my proposal. At least Kara was central to the main story this week. Best line was Otis, you love toxic relationships. At K Kyle 1 said, this whole totem thing is just silly. The reaction, especially of Lena when Lex showed, was good. Otherwise, it seems obvious the creators don't care anymore. It's too bad. The final season could have been epic. Instead, it's meh. Yeah, I realized I didn't really talk about like Lena's actual character journey of having to deal with the fallout of like her emotions and Lex and how it makes her magic, extra fire or whatever. Extra fire, big fire emoji versus tiny fire emoji. But I did like that, actually. I mean, I wish the show had spent more time on it than like a couple of like lines and a couple scenes, but I did think it was like an interesting way to kind of deal with the fact that like Lex is back and Lena's going to have an emotion to it. I at the end of the episode, she's like, "I'm all better," and I was like, "Are you? Are you?"
Well, and I did like that scene where Kara and Lena have the talk about, Lex used to be your family, but we're your family now. And
Yeah,
I thought that
really
was
love that. Yeah.
that was a good scene in terms of trying to get Lena to think about her magic a different way, which I thought made sense.
And I love like found family kind of stories where like the team is their family and they're all in it together. And she's got
El Mayara.
El Mayara, and poor Lena's got kind of a crappy family, so she really needs this. Okay. At Flora J. Wood said, "I don't understand this season at all. Maybe the producers are trying to make us not care anymore so that we don't miss it when it's gone. Plus, Legends of Tomorrow did totems in season 3, so nothing new there." That's true. Legends did do it first and better, weirdly enough.
Really interesting. Okay.
Even more coherent, which is not usually Legends' bag. By its own admission, it's like, we're gonna be weird, but Supergirl has somehow out weirded it by having like Calvin Ball rules. So at tone_ring said, "How much do we think it would be to book Al's bar? What's that space rental economy like?" I feel like Al's bar is going to be kind of cost efficient, I feel like. But not now, after it gets out about that great engagement party that they threw there. Now it's going to be
he can charge higher rates, I think.
He's going to get streamers. It's going to be great. Maybe some fairy lights. Oh, it's going to be magical in there. At Kaya_Matsui, "I just have one question. Why is Lex? This episode was really boring. I can't believe there are only 3 episodes left and Kara doesn't have a plot. I think about the last season of Arrow and it was all about Oliver. This is such a disrespect to Supergirl."
Do you think Kara's plot is just fighting Nixley and finding the totems?
Really starting to feel that way.
Okay.
I think that's what they consider Kara's plot to be. I think if you ask the writers, they'd be like, "Oh my God, no, she's all in there. She's doing all that plot, the totem stuff." And it's like, is that really her plot though?
Yeah.
Is that really about her?
Yeah.
I would argue no. At Valkyrie88A said, "I don't know. I think the show just makes me sad at this point." True. At Laura Redenbaugh said, "So much wasted potential. Also, I did not realize how much I like Nixley's outfit."
Oh yeah, I love her high collars. One of the highlights of the season.
Really great. She is working it. At Hoodonut, I guess. Wow, they gave Lex a 1+ year time skip so he could have emotional growth for this romance subplot to work. Esme is ducking adorbs. Disappointed that Kara didn't redo the courage test because I need answers. Wardrobe department A++. If Supergirl ends with a wedding, does that qualify it as a comedy?
That's a good question. That's usually a comedy trope that somebody might get married at the end of a sitcom or something like that. But I don't know. I think other dramatic shows have probably done that somewhere along the line.
I think a wedding is a pretty like standard way to wrap stuff up.
I think for it to be a comedy, it would have to be funny. Like that's my number one standard for a comedy.
So they did say that we're going to find out about Kara's courage test, but
that's what we're told by one of the writers on Twitter.
But this feels like it would have been a great time to find out.
It would have been a better time to do it, I think.
We'll see. TBD.
Let's just keep our eye open. See what happens. All right, so we did have a really good tweet thread from Dr. Nicole Green. Let me see if I can share my screen because it'll probably be the best way to go through it if I can. So I guess I'll just go through here. So Nicole basically was pointing out some chemistry things that was noticed during the episode. So Nicole tweeted out, "This was the moment I was referring to," and there's some screenshots if you're watching the live stream. I think I also included this in the video description, and we'll put it in the audio show notes if you want to check out the tweet thread. And Nicole sent these images to some chemistry friends with no context to get their reactions from what they saw. And so here are some, I don't know, is that a kind of a full screen of some of the, I'll go through some of the images just so that people in the chat can see them. So one of the images says, "Chemistry friends, what is happening here? Is this a distillation a setup gone terribly wrong?" And at the bottom it says, "Best guesses, please." So that was the question that Nicole put out to some of the chemistry friends in this experiment. And somebody wrote back and said, "Honestly, no idea if it was if it was distillation, the tube wouldn't be sitting in the bottom of the flask where the liquid would be. No clue. Looks like someone who doesn't do science set that up." And so there's a picture of, I guess, some of the sciencey setup that goes into things. I would not be able to tell what the difference is, but it sounds like these
I was
chemistry
really
folks.
disappointed in those background scenes. I mean, come on.
Nicole went on to say, "Many recognize this as Hollywood science gone wrong. The work of a set decorator should be fired." Yeah, that's definitely science, not science. And then somebody asked, "What's going on? Just trying to have fun in lab or recreating a silly straw?" And then I think there's also some stuff that's going on. It's a really great thread that everybody should check out if you want to see more of the science questions about some of the setup in the lab and what all that looks like. I think that's a great way to get into that if you're interested in the science of everything. So thank you for sharing, Nicole. Thank you for sharing that tweet thread. So everybody should go check that out. I did want to hit one question before we get into some emails, because I saw a question in the chat. Claudia asked, "Did anyone read the journal/book that Andrea was looking at towards the end of the episode? It was just Lex's love thoughts/poem for Nixley."
No,
I'm
was
so
it?
I'm so
You're
glad you
joking.
asked that, Claudia, because guess what? I brought a screen cap.
Oh, snap.
So if I can get this to be bigger, let's see if we can read it, Morgan. It says, "I will," oh shoot, I'm gonna have to like make this bigger for myself. I don't know if you can read that. I thought
I
this
can. My eyes are not this strong.
I thought the screenshot would be big enough for myself, and now I'm regretting that I did not
Transcribe it.
write this down. I was like, for sure, surely I'll just be able to read it. So let me see if I can get this to where I can get it. 'Cause I did read parts of it, and I was sort of laughing about it because this is very typical of Lex Luthor, that he will he journals a lot. Lex Luthor, he's a big journaler. He likes to write things down in his especially his thoughts about Lena and the horses. This is his thing. Okay, so I'm blowing this up for myself so that I can see it better. All right, it says something, and I'm going to try to read it as best I can. I may not be able to read this completely accurately, but this is what I think it says. "I will make oceans burn, the skies above turn black. We shall rule together, my love. Cruel deaths to anyone who attack. You are the imp, my heart, something. The only being in all the universe, something. I cannot conceive an existence without you," I think is what it says. "Together, there's nothing we can't do," I'm assuming. "Your madness lights the sky. Your brilliance engulfs me, who something or other. I will never find another, my love, my heart, my soul. Time marches in all directions. It matters not to us. We are eternal. No, we are eternity."
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I like the idea of Lex Luthor writing love poetry. I think that is very, very funny. I like the idea of him being like, "Oh my God, I wrote you a love poem and here it is." And Nixley just being like, "Yes, honey, it's great. It's great." And then he like leaves the room and she's like, "Oh my God, this is not good." I don't know how to tell this is not good. And he's like, Nixley said my poetry is great and I'm really going to lean hard into it. And she's like, "What have I done?"
What if the opposite happens and she's like, "This is the greatest poem that's ever
She's
been
like,
written."
"Oh my God, Lex, you have a gift. You have to continue writing. I've never read anything so beautiful. And Lex is like, yeah. I just love the idea of like Andrea like reading this weird love poem and being like, finally I've gotten to the bottom of what's going on with Lex. He's bad at poetry.
No, but that would be perfect for her style of journalism, which is basically just clickbait stuff.
It's just
Could
gossip.
she could run a story that's like, Lex Luthor is in love with Nixley, the fifth dimensional imp who's trying to take over the world. Here's his secret love poems.
The
from his
secret
journals.
love poems of Lex Luthor.
She would sell so many issues of Catco magazine or ads on catco.com, whatever they do. I don't know what they do, but I think that's like right up her alley.
I think it's so funny that like they keep occasionally bringing like there's no reason really for Andrea to exist on this show anymore. I like the actress a lot. There's no reason for her to exist as a character on the show. And then whenever they bring the Akrata thing in, I'm like, oh my God, that's right. She's got powers. And yet all we ever see her go is like, get me a photo of Spider-Man or whatever. And it's like, there's nothing else you want to do with this character if you're just going to continue to pay her. She's just going to be in the background being like, I'm bad at journalism.
What if she just got the story?
Yeah, exactly.
She could just use that Akrata power to get so many stories.
What if there was a storyline about her using the Akrata power to like unethically get stories and like Kara figures it out and then Kara has to like go up against her boss? What an interesting story that would have been for all of them.
An interesting story.
But we'll never have that. So
yeah.
Just no reason for her to be around and just have powers. When she did the Akrata thing, like I think I screamed because I completely forgot she could do that.
Well, the whole episode when I kept seeing Andrea, I was like, you remember when she had Akrata power? Like I remembered it and like mentioned it, and then they paid it off. So I was like, okay, good. I'm glad that the show at least remembers it. Well, I just wanted to bring up the journal thing because I
love it.
I did look at that because I wanted to document what Lex Luthor had
It's great. He's got some real talent.
All right, well, let's get into some emails. So Ricky had some thoughts about last week's episode, Nightmare in National City, and this is what Ricky said, quote, my name is Ricky Tran, and I'm a part of the Morgan Glennon podcast universe, or whatever it's called. That's what it's called, the podcast universe. Yeah. Coming over from Legends of Tomorrow podcast. I was shook when Kara quit. I was sure Andrea would threaten to fire her yet again. Can I just also point out how amazing civilian Kara and Lena looked in this episode? I hate how William just barges into the tower as he pleases now. Yeah, he does that a lot.
He really does.
Like lock the door, John. And I hate that's why Jesse Rath is forced into green paint all episode long now. Ricky goes on to say, I love Nia going off on Maeve in this episode. Nicole Maines is an amazing actress, and I felt all the emotions, and I'm glad Nia didn't accept Maeve's apology. Ricky goes on to say, Brainy is really pushing this vegetable rampage. I think he made spinach pancakes or something.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That was funny.
Including on his own girlfriend, and there's a broccoli emoji and a
horrified emoji.
Yeah. And Ricky says, I love the running gag, though. It seems like this show can't have all 10 series regulars in a single episode anymore. It's always either Kelly, Nia, Brainy, or Lena who's absent. I wish it felt more like a final season. Every episode is feeling too similar. I made a list of how each episode has been recently laid out. So every episode basically goes, Nixley is evil. Kara goes to and leaves work immediately. There's a subplot. Andrea threatens an employee, mostly William, which Lena, and then a totem quest / test. And so that basically is the formula. I think Ricky nailed it.
Yeah.
And Ricky ends this discussion about Nightmare in National City saying, I hope this show starts heading towards a final endgame very soon, though. And then Ricky, I'm going to put all of Ricky's thoughts together. So these are Ricky's thoughts from this week, talking about I believe in a thing called love, saying, quote, I really wish Kara was the one to complete the Courage Totem Gauntlet. We still don't know why she failed. The fact that William was told about both Kelly and Alex's proposal plan makes no sense because they barely know him, and he sure as hell barely knows them. Although I think Irmgard made a good point that William was friends with Kelly in season 5. He's just showing up to the tower as he pleases. Ricky really doesn't like that William does this. And
William just coming and going whenever he wants.
I get it, Ricky. At least if he shows up, he should always bring baked goods. He's been kind of slacking on that. So
yeah, where are the muffins, William?
I think if he's gonna do this, he needs to keep bringing in those baked goods. He's just showing up to the tower as he pleases and gives off baked goods and wise advice now. At this point, they should just tell him the secret. That's a fair comment. Is it weird that I genuinely felt some emotion when Lex confessed his love to Nixley? Esme was adorable in this episode. She is the love totem now. Kelly and Alex are engaged, all capital letters. I am so glad that at least one Danvers sister is having her story come full circle in a neat ending. Kara telling Lena to fuel her magic with her love for her real family made me tear up happily, and an emoji with like the one tear on the side of the face. So thank you for writing in, Ricky, and I'm glad we could include both of your thoughts about these past 2 episodes.
So we have an email we need to catch up on from Redlocks27, who wrote in to say, I've shared the same thoughts that the writing this season has not been the best. I watched the Welcome Back Kara episode and understood that Kara was struggling with PTSD. My frustration with that plot point was that it was never brought up again or discussed. Kind of like the lost socks in a dryer. Trauma is not something one cures in a day, and then like eye roll emoji. That was my thought until Nightmare in National City. Do I think that writers are doing the best job at executing problems with PTSD or similar mental health issues? No. However, when Kara said to William in this episode that she felt like since the Phantom Zone, she has felt like it is one thing after another and she is figuratively drowning, it hit me. This whole half of the season, I have felt that Kara has never fully recovered from her time in the Phantom Zone, nor has taken the time to address it, which in my line of work is common. The feeling of drowning and feeling like taking one step is hard, is something I understand, especially when all you see or deal with is life or death circumstances. Since Kara has come back from the Phantom Zone, where she was trapped and lost all hope for months, she has continually struggled to find her hope again, even to the point of barely getting any of the totems and eventually quitting her job. They even explored this in a way with Maeve and Nia by Maeve saying she was sorry and life didn't work out how she wanted and she took it out on her family. At least the writing explored attempts at redemption and taking steps forward, even if they are small. I hope Kara finds her hope again because her losing every episode is not entertaining. Also, Lena's outfit was baller this episode. And I love the switch in tone in this email. Also, Lena's outfit was baller this episode, and I'm coming to appreciate her moving from the reddest lipstick on earth to none and being poor, to not affording any, to now black. Maybe that's all she had left from her angsty teenager days.
Oh, I like thinking about Lena and her angsty teenage days. Although,
oh my God, me too.
when we saw her with young Andrea, Lena seemed to be the more clean cut. Like I think young Andrea was the one who probably got in trouble the most in school. But young Lena seemed to be, she was the one wearing pearls that Lillian gave her. So
that's true. I wish that Lena had went through like a goth phase, like a high school goth phase that we could have seen, like a Hot Topic phase. That would be amazing.
Oh, the missed opportunity. Well, we have an email from Ashley who writes, quote, why is William giving all these heartfelt talks? Shouldn't Kara or Jean be giving these? Lex couldn't just let Alex and Kelly have their moment. Lex always has to ruin everything. It seems like when Lex is on the show, everyone is depowered. I think Lena does live in the tower. Oh, here we go. Because she said, quote, I was getting cleaned up downstairs, unquote. Maybe that is a clue. How did Lex get the hope totem? It seems like whenever Lex wants to use someone, he says that he is madly in love with him. Oh, that's a fair point. He did that with Miss Dussbacher.
That's true.
Just like he did with Eve. We don't have much time for another Lex storyline. I loved Esme's scenes, especially the last one where all the drinks were being passed out and she was like, where's mine? It was cute. I really hope that nothing bad happens to Esme in the next episode, unquote. Oh, Ashley, don't even put that out there in the universe. Nothing should happen to Esme. Let's not even acknowledge that is a possibility.
We love Esme and we will protect her. She is like one of the few things this season has given us that gives us joy. So Emma sent us an email writing, well, it happened. The writers went there. Lexley?
I
Is
kind of like Lexley.
Lexley, I like. Yeah, it's got like a little something to it. Little judge. It is canon. Ugh. Why was there real on-screen buildup? No. Did anyone ask for or want this? Probably not. Does it really do anything for the plot that couldn't have been accomplished via a non-romantic alliance? No. Did we even need Lex back so close to the end when they've already proven that they can't give poor Kara good content? A resounding no. Why? Sigh. That said, Nixley's initial reaction to Lex, especially after she learned who he was excellent and appropriate. If 12 of her had been on the jury, Lex would be in jail where he belongs. Al, how can you say no to Esme? I dislike children with a burning passion, and even my cold heart was thawed in a titch. After finishing the episode, I understand now. Excellent acting, Esme. Dual dance and proposal. The love totem knows what's up. Also, Kara apparently just keeps an ear out for Esme's voice. She's such a good aunt. Esme is going to be such a cute flower girl. Esme becoming the new love totem makes all the sense, but now I'm worried about her safety.
Why is everybody talking about this?
No, don't do it. Do you think Alex and Kelly will notice the random tattoo that just appeared on the back of her neck? I mean, I hope so if they're decent
They would
parents.
probably like give her baths and stuff. I think that would come up.
It's gonna have to come up. Okay, Lena ruined Morgan's theory by doing magic with her hair up in a science bun. Yes, they're science buns from now on. Thanks, Emma. And then it's like an emoji that's kind of frowning, like just like, Hey, look, Andrea remembered she has powers.
She did. And she found the greatest poetry in the world. So that was worth it. All right. Well, Kiki wrote in with some thoughts about this week's episode saying, quote, dare I say this episode was entertaining? The writers had some consistency in this episode. Loved the Alex and Kelly proposal. Lena and Kara's scenes were great as always. Sean's gauntlet was heartbreaking. He had to see his people be killed all over again, including his daughters. Wonder what heartbreaking news Brainy gets next episode. Is he supposed to get heartbreaking news?
I hope not.
I hope not. Ooh, well, Kiki, what do you know? Kiki also writes, overall, this was a 10 out of 10 episode. 3 more episodes. I can't believe it. And then like 5 crying emojis.
Cry. Claire sent us an email saying, hi, Morgan and Rebecca. First, I want to thank you guys for your coverage of Supergirl. Your podcast and Anna's snap judgments have made this season of Supergirl a lot more enjoyable. I've been listening along all season, and I wanted to share my thoughts about this week's episode. Does Alex know that Kara quit her job? It seems like the show went out of its way to avoid Kara and Alex discussing Kara's employment status. Alex walked in right after Kara's very brief chat with the Super Friends, and immediately the topic shifted to the engagement. Also, why did they give William the job of talking Alex back into her engagement plans? Wouldn't it make more sense to have Kara reveal to Alex that she quit Catco because of everything going on, and then have Alex respond saying she was going to hold off on proposing, and then have Kara give her sister a big speech on how important Kelly and Alex's love is?
That would have been so good.
That would have been great. Yeah, geez. Okay, these past 2 episodes, it seems like the writers have completely forgotten everything they knew about the 2 leads of this series. On a lighter note, when Kara asked Alex and Kelly to head out and on patrol, did anyone else really want Alex to respond, no need for us to go. Magan has it covered.
She's in the painting. She's in Esme's wall painting.
Magan's screaming in that painting. Why won't someone hear me?
Magan's in the painting like, there's something on the back of Esme's neck. Y'all need to check it out.
I want there to be like a full horror movie storyline where like Esme's like, Mom, the painting on the wall talks to me, and they're like, shh, it's natural for you to have an imaginary friend. She's like, her name is Magan.
She says she knows you.
She says she's been here a while. She thought John would have noticed. To end on a positive thought, Esme stole the show again. Kudos to the casting director for finding such a talented young actress.
I agree with that. Esme is
She's
stealing
great.
the show. Well, Veronica, not the description writer of the show, that we know of, but
she's gonna be coming in hot on us.
Veronica wrote in to share some thoughts, writing, quote, I have been watching Supergirl since the beginning, but I stopped 4 episodes ago. Veronica, just stick it out. Stick it out with us. We're gonna watch it till the end.
What if the descriptions start getting really weird because Veronica stopped watching?
They have nothing to do with anything. Veronica says, I know what is happening through your podcast and comments on Twitter. I'm glad we could be there for you. It was a sad decision after so many years, but I've had enough, which I totally understand, Veronica.
It's understandable.
Veronica goes on to say, I'm going to be honest. I ship Supercorp, and one of the reasons I kept watching and was excited about the final season was to see if they are going to end together or not. And even after I stopped watching, I still think there is a chance that they are going to do at least an open ending with Kara and Lena. However, I'm not watching anymore because what they are doing to Kara is unforgivable. How am I supposed to have hope or be excited when the main protagonist has a bad storyline, or even worse, she doesn't have any? What they are doing to Kara makes me so sad and mad, so I find it impossible to enjoy anything, even the things I like. Sometimes I feel like the only people in charge of the show I feel like the people in charge of the show hate Kara. That is the only reasonable explanation, because nobody is that bad at their job not to notice they are not giving at least a decent story for the main character. I would also like to make a comment about the ending. I think when Zor-El said to Kara, it is okay to be human, was foreshadowing the ending. In the end, Kara is going to stop being Supergirl and enjoy her life, unquote. Well, Veronica, that's actually a pretty good theory. If they, went back to that dialogue, they could do something like that at the end of the show. I don't know that I would care for that, for her to stop being Supergirl, but I think if they've set it up in the story and in the dialogue, I think, for them to pull that trigger would actually be really interesting. But I personally wouldn't want her to stop being Supergirl. But I think if they did that, it would actually make the writing seem like it was going somewhere. So I think the theory is pretty good.
Yeah, that's interesting. It wouldn't be like my preferred way for the show to end, but it would at least be backed up by something.
Yeah.
Which we're not guaranteed at the end of this, let's be honest. So Daryl sent us an email writing, you have to give Alex credit for not proposing in the same year she met Kelly. She's learning. If the writers truly thought Lena had more to contribute than magic, then why focus on her magic so much? If Kara had that kind of heartfelt discussion with Lena years ago and showed real trust in her, then Lena might not have gone off the deep end. I swear Rain gets no respect.
Thank you.
Yeah, put some respect on her name. Daryl says they call Nixley her greatest threat, but Nixley didn't beat Supergirl into a coma.
Rain messed with Supergirl so much that's what she saw when she was in the Phantom Zone. Was the end of season 3.
Exactly. Season 3, man. To go back and warn them.
And to think that we complained about the end of season 3, that it wasn't written as well.
Oh my God.
But it was so much better.
I would pay money to go back to season 3.
Oh man. Let's get season 3 quality up in here.
Seriously. Why are Kara and Alex talking to William and not each other? What is this show? I do like that the show remembered Maggie existed, because I swear they forgot about her, like they forgot most other supporting characters once their respective season is over. Good job on the show showing us Alex saying yes. If you remember, we never saw Maggie actually say yes. We all just naturally assumed it after she smiled. I can definitely tell they put their money in that fight at the start. That was an end of the show climax level fight. I'm surprised by the Otis reveal, but I don't quite care.
Yeah, I think Daryl brought up a point that the fight at the beginning when they were trying to trap Nixley with the fake totem, I thought the effects of that were pretty good. It was a pretty action-packed sequence, and I did like that. I would say that was done pretty well, and considering there are some other scenes that we've watched on the show where the effects are maybe not as good, but I thought that one was pretty good, and everybody played their part in that, so I would agree with that. Well, Morgan, should we make some snap judgments?
I think we should make some snap judgments.
In the game of snap judgments, each person is presented with 2 options, but must only choose one. First instincts are recommended and explanations are unnecessary.
Okay, so we have quite a few snap judgments. So I think we need to strap in. Also, I have to say, Anna, I love you, but I also kind of hate you because what you've created is your own genre of snap judgment. And I can see scrolling down this document that a lot of people have kind of like started to send in their snap judgments in a very Anna-like fashion. I have a feeling we're going back to the medieval times, at least a couple of times in
We
these snap
might
judgments.
encounter, spoiler alert, we might encounter
Fleur?
a teenage assassin. We might go back into that story, so we'll get there.
So Anna has created her own form, her own style of snap judgment, and it's really taken off. It's sweeping across the nation. So strap in. All right. So our first snap judgment is from @CM Gutierrez 74. Who would you rather see together romantically, Lex and Nixley or Kara and Lena?
I get the Cara and Lena and why people ship it, but I just don't. If I had and I hope the internet is not mad at me. That's not
You're allowed to not like something, Rebecca. It's honestly fine.
That's just not what the direction I would want it to go in. So I guess if I had to pick, I guess I would say Nixley and Lex, even though I don't like that either. So I don't like any of these choices, but the rule of the game is that you have to pick one. So
you
I guess
pick one.
I guess I didn't even have to explain myself. I could have just said Nixley and Lex, and I could have just been done with it. I'm just digging my own grave the more I talk.
Digging it, shoveling yourself in. I like Kara and Lena, so I will go with them. And Nixley and Lex are not doing much for me, so it's not really competition in any way here. Okay, so from @MarkHBPWM. Would you rather be romantically pursued by a fanatically smitten Lex Luthor or catch Ebola virus?
Wow. Funny story. Just real quick. When I was going through cancer, I was getting treatment at the Winship Cancer Institute, which is across the street from Emory in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's the hospital where they took the guy who had Ebola when he came into the United States because Emory has like this big room that like they put people with Ebola in. And when I was going through cancer, I was kind of like freaked out because I was there at the Cancer Institute going to a doctor's appointment or something like the day they brought that guy in because I saw all the news trucks and all the news.
Oh my God.
And so I like texted a doctor friend of mine and I was like, hey, should I be worried about Ebola? Should I like be concerned about this? And you know what she wrote me back? She was like, just wash your hands. You'll be fine. And I was
Amazing.
like, okay, so I guess I'm not that worried about Ebola. So I guess if I wasn't worried about Ebola, do I need to select be romantically pursued by a fanatically smitten Lex Luthor?
Well, I mean, the choice is what would you rather? Would you rather catch Ebola, which you're not that worried about?
Well, so
I mean, but you got it in that scenario. Like, you definitely have it.
But Ebola is nasty though.
Yeah,
it does
it's
do
probably
a
not
lot
great.
of bad things to you. I guess I'm choosing pursued by fanatically smitten Lex Luthor. That could have benefits for me.
It sure could.
It could make me successful.
You'd be rich, definitely. You'd have a fancy house.
I would get a lot of great poetry.
So much. So I'm picking Lex because of the poetry. I think I don't have enough poetry in my life. I don't care the quality really. And you know what? I don't need to ride a horse. It's okay. I can let go of that because he hates that. So I don't want Ebola. So so we have a snap judgment from Bethany. This one's a long one, so strap in. Would you rather be the child of Lex and Nixley and be forced to watch as they commit crimes against humanity? As a child, you're forced to watch Lex murder every single one of your boyfriends in front of you.
No, that doesn't seem good.
Not great. Your mother, Nixley, is a fifth dimensional imp who can snap you to Paris whenever you want. But she also uses her abilities to snap you to the phantom zone when you misbehave.
That's not great.
Not great. Or be the second child of Alex and Kelly, where you get to watch your moms be superheroes.
No, that sounds fun.
Although they are great mothers to you growing up, Esme becomes extremely jealous of you and uses the totem on the back of her neck to drain all the love they have for you out of them. As Alex and Kelly have no more love for you, they continue to raise Esme and put you in the foster system.
Well, that sucks.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. In the system, you keep track of your old mothers and find out that Alex has died saving her sister in battle.
Oh no.
You go mad from all your pain and become a love-stealing supervillain yourself.
Whew, that's a tough choice.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I think I like Esme so much that I don't want to have beef with her.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess I'm going to have to choose. I guess I'd rather be the child of Lex and Nixley and be forced to watch as they commit crimes against humanity. Because at least I'm just like in the second one. In the second option, you're becoming
a supervillain.
Love-stealing supervillain.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess in the first choice, at least you're not the villain. Like you're having to watch the villains do crimes, but you're not the one committing them. So I guess I'm going to go with the first one.
I guess my question is like, how good are these boyfriends? Like, did they forget my birthday? Did they cheat on me? Because then maybe it's a plus. Like, we don't know. So I don't want to be a supervillain. And again, I definitely don't want beef with Esme. Like, she is cute and tiny, but I feel like she's maybe a little vicious. Like, you know what I mean? She's scrappy. I don't want that. So I'm gonna go Lex and Nixley because occasionally I get to go to Paris.
You get to go to Paris. That's
and good. I feel like I'd be really rich too. So that's gonna help. That's going to help with some of that pain and trauma, and also definitely to pay for the therapy I'm going to need. Okay, so our next set of snap judgments are from @Kaya_Matsui. Who would you trust to write your life story? The Supergirl writers or Snap Judgment Anna?
Anna, no question. Anna would write me a.
But it's going to be bad, Rebecca.
No, but I think it would be tragic. It would have a lot of tragedy. It would have a lot of betrayal. Anna loves betrayal.
It would.
But I think there's something in there. I think there would be something in there that I think would give a little glimmer of hope at the end.
I think it would be coherent and heartbreaking. Anna's version. However, it would definitely be messed up. And for that reason, I'm going to go with the Supergirl writers.
Twist.
Twist. Because Anna's going to write me something great, but it's going to be truly, truly terrifying. And I want to just kind of wake up in the morning and go, what's my day going to be like today? And have no idea because it won't logically follow from any other day that I've had before. And I want to it's noon and I get up to go to lunch and then like suddenly I'm in a completely different continent. It doesn't make sense why I'm there, what I'm doing there.
You might time travel unexpectedly off screen.
I want my life to be Calvin Ball. And I think that's what the Supergirl writers can provide. So I'm going that way. I'm going in that direction.
I want my life to be Calvin Ball in a t-shirt.
I will buy that t-shirt. Oh, amazing. Okay, second snap judgment from Gaia. Who has the better sweater game? Lena with her National City University sweater or Nia in this episode?
Oh, I have an overlay for that. I went the extra step. So we could have a visual.
Oh, it's sweater off. This is a tough one.
I like the casual look of the National City University sweatshirt, but I also like the on-brand look for Dream or like Nia's like casual dreamer. Like in cosplay, they call it casual cosplay when you're kind of cosplaying your character, but you're like not in your full costume.
She's like Disney bounding her own character.
Yeah, I think Nia's casual cosplaying dreamer here, and I like it. So I think I'm gonna pick Nia in this scenario.
You know what? I have the National City University sweatshirt. Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And it is great. It's very comfy. I like to wear it. But that dreamer sweatshirt, or sweater is really nice. Like I clocked it when I was watching. I was like, that's a good sweater. I should find out where she got that sweater. So I have to go with that sweater. I like the casual cosplay, as you mentioned. It's also just like a solid all around sweater. You can wear that sweater pretty much anywhere. Like Lena probably shouldn't wear that sweater, like, out somewhere fancy, but she will. We know she will. 'Cause she likes to show up inappropriately dressed. So she's gonna go to like a fancy black tie event in that thing. But but I like that Nia sweater can go to different locations.
Yeah, you could wear that for any kind of event.
Okay, so we have a few snap judgments from Emma. First one is, who would you rather adopt? Turtle Boy Jimmy Olsen, age 6. Young Kara when she first came to Earth, age 13. Esme, however old she is now. Baby John or little Lena, age 4.
So I'm trying to imagine Turtle Boy Jimmy Olsen at age 6. What does that look like?
So cute. It's
Does
like in my
does he
mind,
have
it's
a
like kind of
shell?
like a Ninja Turtle vibe.
I'm a little torn between Turtle Boy Jimmy Olsen, age 6, and young Kara when she first comes to Earth, age 13. Turtle Boy Jimmy Olsen is tempting. I think I would want to adopt young Kara when she first comes to Earth at age 13, because then I get to be, and this is maybe a little too much pressure, but I kind of like the idea of being able to be the wise person who gives young Kara the advice,
Points her in the right direction
on how to live a moral, upstanding life, and how to get along with humans and be able to guide her. I like the idea that I could be like the wise sage who guides her through life. So not that I'm qualified for that in any way, but this is a snap judgment, so that's the one I'm gonna pick.
These are all really good options. I think I'm gonna go young Kara because she's like old enough to like do some basic stuff for herself. Like she
except do the laundry. Eliza would not
can't
let
do
her
the
do the
laundry.
laundry.
She's definitely gonna mess that up, but she could like heat up a hot pocket unsupervised. And that's what I like in a child, just the ability to mostly take care of themselves. Also, she's Supergirl, which is pretty cool. Like those powers could come in handy.
Yeah.
And again, like shaping her into somebody who's going to give back to humanity, but also maybe I could use her powers from time to time or something personally enriching for myself. So, so I'm going to go young Kara. Okay. Our next snap judgment is a little bit longer. You have been given the power to change the course of the series.
Oh, I like this.
For a price.
Oh, no.
Okay, for the sake of the judgment, assume there's a 7th season over which you'll have control.
Okay, got it.
Which option would you choose? You can introduce Director Bones, bring Cat Grant back, and Kara gets to be the main character again.
Oh, these are all things I like.
But in return, Alex and Lena both have to die grisly deaths that will haunt Kara for the rest of the series and leave Esme a fragile, traumatized, and slightly unstable wreck. Or Turtle Boy Jimmy Olsen appears on screen. Lena and Kara get to frolic in the woods together, sniffing branches like Disney princesses. And Snapper appears at some point, snapping like one of the gang fellows from West Side Story. But in return, National City and everyone in it, Alex, Kelly, Esme, Jean, William, Brainy, Nia, Andrea, Eliza, who was visiting, and pretty much everyone else in the cast, is destroyed in a horrifying nuclear blast.
I think I could be about the first option, where introducing Director Bones, bringing Cat Grant back, Kara gets be the main character again. I'll sacrifice Alex and Lena if I have to get Kara to be the main character again, and we get Director Bones, and we get Cat Grant. I could be into that option. I could live with that.
This one's tough. This one's really tough because there are some things I like in both, but there are some things I don't like in both. Like I love the idea of Turtle Boy Jimmy Olsen, and I like that we get Lena and Kara just frolicking in the woods together. That's fun. But on the flip side, everyone else is dead.
Yeah, everybody dies.
That's not great. So I think I really want Kara to be the main character of her own show again. So R.I.P. Alex and Lena, because I'm going Kara and Director Bones on this one.
It has to be done.
It has to be done. I was left no choice. Okay. It's happening. It's on. It's what we've all been waiting for. It's Anna's snap judgment. And they are long. So let's just know that going in. Let's just understand that. Okay. The first one. If Kara and Lena were to become a romantic pairing, how would you rather have it happen? Lena and Kara are alone battling a villain. They are zapping both of them, and they are slowly and painfully losing the fight. They are both screaming from exertion as Kara collapses to the ground. Lena's emotional reaction causes a wall of flame protection around them to emerge as she gathers Kara into her arms and kisses her. The kiss brings Kara back to life, and she begins to glow. Oh, that's interesting. And rise into the air, and her new power allows her to defeat the villains in an instant. Or Kara and Lena have defeated the villain with the Super Friends. They're taking a quiet moment to themselves when Kara brushes the curly hair out of Lena's face, because obviously she's a witch now. Behind her ear, under her witch hat she is now wearing. They talk about how much they matter to each other, but this time they lean in to kiss and hug. The scene ends with Kara flying and pushing Lena on a non-magical broomstick around the city under the moonlight.
Well, I guess I'm obviously going with the witch hat and the broom.
I just like the idea of Lena being like on a broom going, Kara, it's happening, I'm flying. And then like Kara's behind her going, yes, you are flying.
They're like pushing the
She's
broom.
pushing her, yeah. I'm not going to let go of this though, because it's so great being together. But you're doing it. You are doing it. Oh my God, so funny. Okay. The love totem, this is the next snap judgment. The love totem seems to have grown on Esme's neck. What is that more likely to mean? That in order to complete the Allstone, Esme will have to be killed, and Nixley will accomplish this by mind controlling Alex to do it, as Esme cries and begs her to stop as fear and betrayal runs through her, and Kelly watches from afar screaming, not realizing Alex has been mind controlled. Or that Esme will be the last totem standing between Nixley and the Allstone, that she will be captured, told her family is dead, and tortured by Nixley and Lex, who hope that will cause the totem to leave her body if she again feels alone and without love in this cold, dark world. This one's brutal, Anna.
The second one doesn't have Alex mind controlled.
Or murdering anyone.
Killing Esme. So I think I'm going to go the second one where Esme has to feel alone and without love in this cold, dark world.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the second one because I don't like either of them. Esme is too cute for me to imagine anything bad happening to her. But in the second one, like this could be her villain origin story.
Oh, yeah.
And like a Esme coming back who's like
she's wanting to get revenge.
Ooh, yeah. Like that could be delicious. That could be actually really fun. Like a really like over the top campy, like evil Esme. I could get into that. The first one's just too much of a bummer. Okay, so our next snap judgment. What is more likely true about the Danvers sisters by the end of the season? Alex will die because even though she saved her in the pilot, Kara must learn that some sisters are fated to lose each other forever. Or Kara will die and Alex will never go a day without the pit in her throat, knowing she will only be able to see her within the picture frames that will remain hidden away, to keep the waves of grief at bay and the whispers in the back of her mind telling her it was her fault. If she had just tried harder, she could have saved her, that it will never not be her fault. So Alex dies or Kara dies. I don't know why these are our only options, Anna.
The second one really painted a picture, though.
It did. It really took me there. I'll be honest.
Yeah, that was really telling a story. The first one was, I was with it and like I understood what it was doing, and I think it made sense. But the second one was really taking me on an emotional journey. So I think I'm gonna go with the second one.
The second one really did kind of take me there. It kind of put me there. But I like kind of the full circleness of the first one.
Yeah, going back to the pilot.
Yeah. Kara saves her in the pilot, but she can't at the end. And so while still a bummer, they're both bummer. My only choice is bummer. Anna. So I'm gonna go the first one though. Beautiful writing though, honestly. Really dramatic stuff. Why couldn't you write for this show? All right. Are we ready? It's about to get weird. I can see where this one's going, and it's something. All right. Last snap judgment. Last week on Supergirl Radio, you were reunited with your French child, Fleur de Lis. You soon discovered, due to the lack of forensic evidence, it's not possible to arrest or charge her with any crime. But that is okay, because you soon realize that she is a very polite and conscientious child.
Oh, this took a turn.
Okay. Great, Anna. I like this.
She murdered almost 800 people, though. Let's not forget.
I mean, that's where the snap judgment ends, right? Like she's a great kid, right?
Okay.
Right, Anna?
That's what we're going with. Okay.
You enroll her in the local public school, and her teachers write you long emails of gratitude for giving them such a diligent, hardworking, and scientific and mathematical genius of a student. At home, she does all her chores promptly and makes you traditional French meals and delicacies. She's
nice.
kind to animals and offers to sing to you and brush and braid your hair each night. So
That's
she's
a
like
little creepy.
she's like a Disney animal, like a little bird from. Okay, one night as you watch her sew by candlelight in her bedroom, you see her cry. She reveals to you that your ex-husband, Pierre, forced her to become an assassin to feed the family, that she had to secretly borrow Vincent's school books to teach herself science and math, and that she has never had a friend and wishes she had a friendship like the one you and your co-host have in order to lift her spirits. What do you suggest be done? Oh, come on. Offer to have Mike take her on vacation to France to visit her old hometown in the present day and visit the historical cemetery where Pierre and the others are buried to get closure.
Wait, who are the others? The other children?
I guess the other children. We couldn't save them all.
Yeah,
We left a lot of them.
I guess is this past like time travel? Are we still?
So she's from the past.
Yeah,
and
but
is
this a continuation of like our previous snap judgments?
I think
before?
so. Yeah,
okay,
I think
so we're operating under the premise that this is time travel. All those people are already dead. Pierre, all the
those
other
people
children,
dead.
They've already died. Yeah, okay.
They died. They died in the past, but
Okay.
she made it to the future because she's diligent.
She
killed
murdered
a lot
800
of
people to pay for the time travel machine.
So are we making Mike take her on a vacation to France? Now, notice in this, it's just Mike, and I feel uncomfortable with this. It seems like we're just sending our little killer Fleur de Lis on vacation with Mike. I don't know how he's gonna feel about it. Okay, to visit the historical cemetery where Pierre and the others are buried to get closure, or sign her up for a 2-week Canadian winter wilderness youth camp where she is bound to make a friend and heal in nature.
I mean, maybe Mike has a great relationship with Fleur.
She has killed a lot of people, though, Rebecca.
But maybe this is not a snap judgment for me to make because it does involve Mike. But maybe Mike can get through to her the way no one else can. Maybe he has that bond with Fleur de Lis.
They go to a cafe and they have some croissant. And maybe a baguette.
Maybe Fleur really trusts him in a way that she doesn't trust anyone else, and maybe he can just get through to her. I mean, I personally like the Canadian winter wilderness youth camp. I think I would want to go with Fleur, like as a chaperone. Could I just go along and be part of it?
Maybe. I don't know. We don't seem to be part of either of these scenarios. This was.
I mean, I also don't know that I feel comfortable making a snap judgment about Mike. Because I don't want to put Mike in any danger. I don't want to put Mike in any danger.
It's the nature of the snap judgments, though. I mean, I think you have to choose one or the other.
Because we are operating under the premise that now Fleur is
Fleur seems to like us, right? She's great.
Things have turned a corner.
She's turned her life around.
She's a great kid. She's
hasn't
loving everybody
recently.
She's doing great in school. So maybe she's a good kid now. So maybe it's not so bad. So maybe she really just needs some closure. Maybe, because she's had a hard time. Pierre made her kill all those people.
It's brutal.
It was really Pierre's fault.
It was Pierre's fault, definitely. It was not little Fleur.
I don't know. That's a tough one because it does seem like she needs a friend.
It does. It does.
But what if Mike is that friend that she needs?
Maybe. How does she feel about D&D and video games? Does she want to play some video games?
Maybe that's how they bonded.
Ooh, maybe.
I kind of now I've talked myself into the option with Mike because I really like the idea that Mike has now entered the fleur-de-lis story
and have brought him in.
and that he has become the only person that Fleur really connects with. And they have a good relationship, and he's going to help her get over her emotional trauma.
That's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I think I'm going to go the option with Mike.
Well, I'm glad that Mike gets to go to Paris in that scenario. But I think I'm going to send my little killer to the Canadian wilderness. The thing is, I think she's going to make a lot of age-appropriate friends. But the other thing is, I think that she's just going to like, pun intended, kill it out there. You know what I mean? Like if she needs to go hunting, she's gonna be like, I got it, and just like pull a knife out of nowhere and like just take care of business. And I think in the Canadian wilderness camp, like the other kids are gonna find that not frightening like I would, but cool. Oh my God, she skinned a bear, they'll say. What a cool girl. And suddenly she's the coolest girl in the Canadian wilderness camp. Everybody wants to be her friend. Who will she choose to be friends with? And I think that she needs that kind of like queen bee energy, really, just to kind of get that into in the mix. So yeah, I think she's gonna do great in the Canadian wilderness camp. And you know what? I'll see her when she gets back.
Yeah, that's really gonna boost her self-esteem.
She's gonna do great.
Yeah, I mean, she's already killing it at school. She's killing it at home. I think she just needs to kill it at camp, and then she's gonna be really, really good.
Can't wait to see what she does next week.
No judgments on your Snap judgments. All right, that is going to do it for our thoughts. We had a lot of them this week
Oh my
on
goodness.
the episode, I believe in a thing called Love from season 6 of Supergirl. And now I think we need to get to some DC TV podcasts and Supergirl Radio plugs. If you would like to contact Supergirl Radio, you can post a comment on our website at supergirlradio.com. You can email us at supergirlradio@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you can call us at 678-718-7252. You can like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram, all at Supergirl Radio. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Podchaser, and Spotify, where we also have a Spotify playlist that includes music featured on and inspired by the CW's Supergirl TV series. We are listed on DC's fan page, which you can find at dccomics.com/DC-fans. If you like what we do, we encourage you to give us a rating and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy our Supergirl Radio live streams, make sure to subscribe to the DC TV Podcast YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live and wired. DC TV Podcast also has a TeePublic store, so if you're in need of new DC TV related t-shirts, tank tops, sweatshirts, onesies, mugs, notebooks, pillows, or stickers, go to supergirlradio.com and click on the TeePublic store link at the top of the page.
Supergirl Radio, Superman and Lois Radio, The Flash Podcast, and Legends of Tomorrow Podcast, Black Lightning Podcast, Batwoman Podcast 2, and Titans and Doom Patrol Podcast just for you. Justice League Dark Podcast, Green Lantern Podcast, Stargirl Podcast, Strange Adventures Podcast, and finally my favorite of the bunch, DC TV After Dark, where you're allowed to say fuck.
And speaking of the DC TV Podcast TeePublic store, sorry, this sounds like I've learned how to read for the first time. Wasn't ready for that to end. We have some Lex Luthor related designs in the store.
Yeah,
so that's fun.
If you need some Lex merch, we got some stuff in there for you, some good stuff.
About Lex eating 40 cakes.
A classic comic book meme, and then some Estesbuckers. So if you're interested in that, we got Lex Corp t-shirts, we got Lena related stuff. So a lot of Luthor stuff in the store if you are in need of that. We would also like to thank our Supergirl Radio Patreon supporters. There are our legion of super sponsors here. That would be Michael, Sam, Anne-Marie, Yvonne, Quinn, Jessica, Nicola, Leslie, Susan, Abby, Ermgard, Miriam, Cherie, Donna, Nicole, Lizeth, and Anna. If you would like to become a Legion of Super sponsor or any of our other levels that we have, our monthly levels, you can go to patreon.com/Supergirl Radio and support the podcast that way. Thank you for to everybody who does support us monthly and helping us keep the lights on here at Supergirl Radio.
And as a reminder, we're still running our Flat Supergirl photography contest for a couple more weeks. It's the home stretch now. So to enter, download and print the Flat Supergirl image, which you can find in the video description of this live stream, in the show notes of the audio podcast, or at the right-hand side of supergirlradio.com. Then cut out Flat Supergirl and attach her to a popsicle stick or a pen or a pencil. And then you're just going to want to take a creative picture with Flat Supergirl. Now, this can be a selfie, but it doesn't have to be. You know what this weekend is? It's Halloween. And I think it would be fun if you gave Flat Supergirl a little costume. So
Yeah.
make a little costume and just kind of like you remember the little paper doll outfits that you would just put on the paper doll? Do that with Flat Supergirl. She could be, what does she want to be for Halloween? Ask her. And when she answers, know that you also have a problem now. For Flat Supergirl is haunted. But give her a little costume, take her out trick-or-treating with you. Maybe she wants to do something fun, spooky, and seasonal. It's a great time. Get her some apple cider. There's all kinds of stuff that you can do with Flat Supergirl. And while you're doing that stuff, make sure that you take a picture and post that picture. And these can be as many as you like, so you don't have to just pick the best one. You can filter all of them and send them to us and post them to Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. And Facebook, whatever you want to do, and tag at Supergirl Radio. And don't forget to use the hashtag Supergirl Adventures.
So we have a couple of weeks left with this contest. So
we do.
After the show ends, we'll pick our favorite and send you a prize. So thanks to everybody who has participated in the contest so far. Okay, well, I guess you can check out me on Vero. I'm at Derby Kid. If you are into Vero, I like to post what I'm watching and listening to. It's a good place for me to share my thoughts on other TV shows there,
Nice.
TV shows and films. So I like Vero quite a bit. It's not widely used, but I enjoy it. I'm also on Instagram at the Derby Kid, so you can see my occasional picture over there. I have a YouTube channel at youtube.com/duckmilkprod. I've been doing live streams on Sundays at 4 p.m. Eastern. I haven't been doing them lately. I've been a little inconsistent because things have come up on my Sundays, but hopefully not this Sunday, but next Sunday I'll get back on a more consistent basis where I'm doing live streams about top critics of Rotten Tomatoes reviewing Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, because it is a fascinating study. So if you're interested in that, subscribe to my YouTube channel and you'll see me there occasionally.
Nice. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at Mojotastic. And you can also find me as a co-host on DCTV After Dark, presumably at some point. And also the Legends of Tomorrow podcast, where this week was Legends of Tomorrow's 100th episode.
Yay!
I know, they grow up so fast. So I'm actually away on a weekend trip this week. So we are going to be slightly delayed in our 100th episode podcast episode. So we're going to record, I believe, on Monday. So you're going to have like a lot of time if you watch Legends of Tomorrow. You have some thoughts and feelings about the 100th episode. You're going to have a lot of time to send that to us. So definitely send us an email or a tweet. We want to know about some of our listeners' 100 favorite moments of the episode of the season or the series. So if you have a favorite moment, make sure that you send that to us, because we were thinking about kind of putting together a very quick list. Don't make it a paragraph though. We don't want to read a whole paragraph. These are 100 of them, right? So short and little. But we want to hear your favorite moments from Legends. I can't believe that there have been 100 episodes of that show somehow. It's crazy. If you would ask me at the beginning of like sometime in season 1, I would have been like, maybe we'll get a season 2. That would be great. And now here we are, 100 episodes later.
Well,
so fun stuff.
Congratulations to Legends of Tomorrow and to the Legends of Tomorrow podcast for seeing it through to 100 episodes. That's quite an accomplishment. So I appreciate the hard work that it takes to put into the podcast that I listen to, even though I don't watch
Nice.
100 episodes of the TV show. I do listen to the podcast. So thank you for the service that you provide for me. So if you are interested, participate in what they're doing for the 100th episode. That sounds pretty awesome. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Supergirl Radio. But until next time, I'm still Rebecca Johnson.
And I'm still Morgan Glennon. And remember, when Lex Luthor is around, tomorrow is never promised.
I think the CW are just trying to win the time slot war with Supergirl Radio.
Supergirl Radio is going live every night of the week. How do you like it? Is becoming a human burrito a plus or a minus? I don't know. It does seem snug.
I mean, they say you are what you eat.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So I do a podcast called Supergirl Radio, and one of our segments is Lena Luthor, Boardroom or Ballroom, because
She looks like a boss in this coat.
Is Nasty Luthor like a different Luthor? It's not just Lena being mean?
No.
Helen Slater here. It's so fun to know that you're hosting a podcast called Supergirl Radio.
Yeah.